Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama for servicemen and women all over the globe. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Globe Theater. As always, the theater doors are open wide to every man and woman in the uniform of the armed forces of the United Nations. And as always, we have some of the theater's finest performers here to entertain you with a play which really should score. Tonight, the playbill reads Walter Abel, Louise Alberton, Ralph Bellamy, and David Bruce. The story is from one of the past year's very successful motion pictures, Phantom Lady. During the next 26 minutes or so, you are going to find out what not to do with a necktie. For behavior of this sort results not only in frowns from Emily Post, but also in jury verdicts of guilty of murder. I think you'll get a kick out of this murder mystery yarn, so let's get on with the action. You'll hear Louise Alberton as Kansas, Walter Abel as Inspector Burgess, David Bruce as Scott Henderson, and Ralph Bellamy as Marlowe. Curtain going up on Phantom Lady.
You see, I was Scott Henderson's secretary, and not that I'd ever have let him guess, but even then I knew I was in love. That morning started like any other morning. I went into Mr. Henderson's office and switched on the dictaphone to see what instructions he'd left for me.
Good morning, Kansas.
He always called me Kansas.
Listen, I won't be in till noon. I got a meeting on the Peabody job.
I stood there,
So you'd better
listening,
check
glancing at the morning paper. And then,
off to him.
Mrs. Scott Henderson strangled to death. Police hold well-known engineer.
We'll have to revise the Henley bit.
I stood there, and the dictaphone ran on, and the sun came flooding in the window. And suddenly, all the world was black.
Why don't you stop? Why don't you let me go? I'm tired.
I'm tired, too. We're all tired, Henderson, all but your wife. She's dead, with your necktie knotted around her throat.
I didn't do it. How many times do I have to tell you?
All right, let's go over it again. Yesterday you gave a little cocktail party.
That was for Jack Marlowe, my friend. He was sailing for South America.
And afterward you planned to take your wife to dinner in the theater.
She wouldn't go. She knew I'd gotten tickets, but she laughed at me. Said she was bored. Said she couldn't stand me anymore.
So you went out and had dinner alone, and then you dropped into that little bar.
Anselmo's place on 56th. And I got to talking with that girl. The bartender saw us sitting together.
The bartender says you were alone.
I wasn't. I was sitting with that girl. She was feeling low, and so was I. So I asked her to go to the theater with me.
And she said she would. So you left together and got into a cab.
That's right. Just ask the driver. He'll tell you I was with the girl.
The driver says you were alone.
He's lying. That girl went to the theater with me. We were in the first row, and the drummer in the orchestra kept smirking at her. That drummer saw her. Why don't you make him talk?
The drummer says you were alone.
Then what about that singer, Estela Montiero? She was wearing a hat. A funny hat, the kind you don't see in 100 years. And then she looked down and saw this girl's hat, and, well, she got so mad she could hardly sing.
Your companion's hat was a duplicate of hers?
That's right. Absolutely the same.
Montiero says there are no hats like hers. Hers are designed and made to order.
She's lying. They're all lying. Why are they ganging up on me? Why doesn't somebody tell the truth?
Why don't you tell me your girlfriend's name?
I've told you I don't know her name. She wanted it like that. Just companions for the evening. No names, no questions, nothing personal.
Then all you're sure of is the hat.
Oh, it's getting so I'm not sure of anything. I've got to find her, Inspector. I've got to find her.
That's right. Or you're going to find your neck in a noose.
Yes?
Hello, is Miss Carol Richmond there?
This is Carol Richmond.
One moment, please. Rio de Janeiro calling.
Rio?
Ready, Rio. Go ahead.
Hello, Miss Richmond. This is Jack Marlowe.
Mr. Marlowe, you've heard.
Just read it in the papers down here, but I don't believe it. Scott wouldn't do a thing like that.
Of course he wouldn't. But they're holding him. They're trying to save him.
Maybe I better hop a plane. I could be home in a couple of days.
Oh, no. No, you mustn't. Mr. Henderson says it's your big chance down there. He says you'll be the greatest sculptor in the world.
But he's my best friend, and he's in trouble.
Don't you worry, Mr. Marlowe. We'll work it out. We'll get the truth. Somehow, some way, we'll get the truth. The truth. It all depended on that unknown girl. The girl with the hat. The girl that no one else had seen. But they had seen her. I was sure of that. I was sure that all those witnesses had lied. Someone would have to break them down. Take them one at a time, right from the first. The first. That meant the bartender. And so I went to Anselmo's place.
Something for you, miss?
2 scotch and sodas, please.
2. You expecting somebody, miss?
Yes. I'm waiting for Scott Henderson. That hit him hard. I could tell by the way he looked, by the way he watched me all night as I sat there at the bar just staring at him, never saying another word. And when he left at closing time, I followed him. He managed to walk rather slowly at first, almost defiantly, as if he didn't care. And then he went a little faster, and faster, and faster until he was almost running, and then suddenly he stopped and turned.
What do you want? Why do you keep on following me?
You have something to tell me.
You're wasting your time.
You know what's going to happen to him. You can prevent it. Get it off your conscience.
Don't ask me. Go ask the guy that give it to me.
Gave you what?
Nothing.
It was money, wasn't it? Somebody gave you a bribe.
I ain't talking, I tell you, and I ain't staying around here either. I'm going to get so far away from here.
Look out! He was dead when they picked him up. And all my hopes of getting the truth might have died there with him. Except that next day I had a visitor. Inspector Burgess, who had handled the case against Scott.
Miss Richmond, I won't say I did my job poorly. The evidence is taking him to the chair. But, since the trial, I've done a lot of thinking.
I think you should have done it before.
Only a fool or an innocent man would have stuck to that silly alibi, and Scott's no fool, so maybe he's been telling the truth.
What? Are you trying to say that?
Well, officially the case is closed, but unofficially, I'd like to help. How about it?
Oh, Inspector Burgess.
No, take it easy. We got a lot of work to do. With that bartender gone, I figure that drummer is our best bet now.
Yes, maybe. He must have seen the girl. Scott said he smirked at her.
Yeah, nasty little character. You can take this report along and read all the dope we've got on him.
Reading a report won't make him talk.
Now, that's just the beginning. Suppose you rig yourself up like a cheap little dame. You know, tight dress, frizzed hair, lots of rouge and mascara.
Oh, I don't get it.
You will. You're going to that show tonight. A seat in the first row orchestra on the side where that drummer can't help but notice you.
Oh.
And when he looks at you, you look right back. And maybe you sort of give him the eye.
And maybe he tries to make a date.
No maybe about it. If he doesn't, you're slipping.
Hiya, baby. Let me have a look at you. What do you know? You really waited.
Well, you asked me, didn't you?
I sure did. Hey, when you started giving me the eye, I come near falling right in my drums.
Oh, I'm just nuts about drums. And you play swell.
Thanks, baby. Oh, by the way, the handle's Cliff Milburn.
I'm Jeannie.
Okay, Jeannie, let's go out and get some drinks, huh?
Sure, Cliff. Then maybe later we can go up to your place and, sort of have a talk.
Come on, baby. How about a little kiss, huh?
Kiss?
Why do you think we come up here? You like me, don't you?
Oh, I'm sure, Cliff, sure.
That's more like it, Jeannie. Oh, what do you think of my place?
Well, it ain't exactly what I expected, Cliff. I mean, with all the dough you make.
My dough goes on other things. And a lot of it's going to go on you, too.
Honest, Cliff? No kidding?
No kidding. I'm going to make you look class, baby. No junk, either, like this dress you got on. This dress is cheesy.
Oh, I suppose you don't like my hat, either.
I'm going to stake you to a carload of hats.
Ah, Cliff, you're sweet. Oh, but just imagine you picking out hats for me.
Why not? I'm an authority on hats. Sure, I get paid for knowing about hats.
Do you, Cliff?
The dame is sitting right behind me, right where you were sitting tonight. 500 smackaroos for just looking at a dame and saying I didn't see her.
Did she give you that 500, Cliff?
Huh?
Who gave you that money?
Some man. I want a cigarette.
Later, please, Cliff. What did the man say?
He says no matter who asks, I gotta say I didn't. Give me a cigarette.
I haven't got it.
Oh, sure you have, right here in your purse.
Oh, don't open that, please.
Why not? All I want is a Hey, this paper.
Give it to me, Cliff.
A police report. It's got my name and all about me. The cops are after me. They sent you here.
Oh, no, Cliff, they didn't.
Sending me a line saying you liked me. Trying to make me shoot off my mouth. Trying to make... Hey, turn on that light. I can't see. Where are you? Hey, don't go. I won't hurt you. Don't go. Jeannie, come back. Come back, will you? I'm scared. I'm scared.
You sure he's still here, Carol?
I'm sure, Inspector. I watched the house from across the way. That's where I phoned you from that delicatessen. He saw her, Inspector. Somebody bribed him. If we can make him talk,
I've got a warrant in my pocket.
Here, this is the door.
Now stand behind me. Don't take any chances. That's funny. The door's open.
What? And the lights are on.
All right, Cliff, you've got company. Come on, Cliff. Where are you?
Oh, he's gone. My purse, too. He took it with him.
He might have gone out the back. There's a flight of steps that...
That what? What's wrong?
He hasn't gone. He's here on the floor. Behind that chair.
All crumpled up. That muffler knotted around his throat.
Steady now. I'll have a look.
What is it? Is he?
Yes, Carol. He's dead. And this time it's no accident.
Two of them dead now. Two of them who wouldn't talk anymore. And the time getting so terribly short. I felt so helpless, all alone. But the next day I had a wonderful surprise. Scott's best friend, Jack Marlowe, flew back from Rio. He was so understanding, so kind.
This thing has hit you pretty hard, hasn't it, Carol?
It's been agony, Mr. Marlowe. If I could only find that woman. One word from her. Yes, I was with him that night, and Scott would walk out a free man.
Scott said there were several people who saw her. Have you tried them all?
Oh, I tried two of them. Now they're both dead. There's only that singer left now, Estella Montiero. If she won't talk, I don't know what I'll do.
I can tell you. You're going back to Kansas for a while and take a rest from all this.
Oh, I can't. Not until that woman's found. I can't think of anything else.
You'll wear yourself out.
I don't care if it means Scott's life.
This is a man's job. Let me handle it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just couldn't sit by.
I tell you, I'm afraid for you, Carol.
Don't worry about me. Just find that woman. We've got to, Mr. Marlowe. The murderer would kill her if he could ever find her.
Yes, I think he would.
I suppose he'd kill me, too.
Don't say that.
Do you think I care? Do you think I'd want to live if Scott, if they... Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I know all about it. I used to watch you sitting at your desk, the way you looked at him. I don't think he's ever dreamed that you're in love.
His life, that's all that counts now. And it looks so hopeless. Someone, whoever it is, always gets there first. He's so clever.
Yes. There's genius behind such audacity.
No, not genius, only madness.
Madness is a frightening word.
What else can you call it? To go on killing. But we will find him, all right. We'll find that woman. We'll work together, Mr. Marlowe, you and I, and Inspector Burgess.
Burgess?
He's helping unofficially. You don't mind?
Mind? Not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm glad to have him.
Good idea, Marlowe. You're taking Carol to dinner. She's been running herself ragged on this case.
I'll take her to dinner, Inspector, if she ever finishes dressing. She's been in there almost an hour.
Oh, well, girls.
She's been taking this thing pretty hard, hasn't she?
Well, I don't blame her. I thought this case would be a cinch at first. Get the lowdown on everyone. Friends, relatives. So I did. Even you, Marlowe. Though I knew you were Scott's best friend.
I was in mid-ocean when it happened.
Oh, that's not important. None of you could have committed those murders.
Why not?
You're all too normal.
And you're sure the murderer isn't normal? You know, possibly he's just very clever.
Yeah, they're always clever when they're insane.
Insane?
Paranoiacs. They all have that ego, that abnormal cunning, that contempt for life.
You make him sound unbeatable.
No, it's just the time element I'm worried about. Scott's only got a couple of weeks.
But eventually, you're quite certain you'll catch the murderer?
I'll stake my reputation on it.
You might lose.
Oh, no, I won't lose. I know his type too well. We used to talk about the criminal type. Criminal type, my eye. It's not how a man looks, but how his mind works that makes him a strangler. Someday we'll train the mind as we train the body, and then they won't need any men like me, and that'll be all right, too. Sorry I'm all wound up tonight. Tired, I guess. You know how it is.
Yes. Yes, I think...
Oh. Marlowe, what's wrong? Easy now. Let me help you up.
I'm all right. Just got a little dizzy, that's all. I've been having these headaches.
Headaches?
Nothing serious.
Well, I'm ready. I said I'm ready. What's the matter? Is anything wrong?
Not at all, Kansas. We were just talking.
Yes, I was telling Marlowe I've got to go to Philadelphia tomorrow.
Philadelphia?
Just for a day. I'm on a case. And, Carol.
Yes?
I want you to make me a promise. Don't do anything until I get back.
I suppose I should have listened to him, but I couldn't. I just couldn't sit by and wait a whole day. I thought maybe there was one person left who could tell me the truth. Estella Montiero, the girl in the show. She would talk to me, one woman to another. So early next morning, I went to her hotel and...
Well, I'm very sorry. Miss Montiero is gone.
Gone? Are you sure?
Her show closed last night. We're just shipping her baggage out now. It's piled up over there in the lobby.
Oh, thanks anyway. Excuse me. Is that hers, too? That hat box?
Oh, yes, that's hers.
You're sure? You're absolutely sure?
Why, of course. She has all her hats made by Madame Katisha.
It was true. Katisha had made that hat. That one that Miss Montiero had worn in the show. She had made that hat and a duplicate. I finally forced her to admit it. For Miss Ann Terry, Hillhaven, Long Island. Jack, Mr. Marlowe, drove me down. And all the way we kept asking each other if Miss Terry had spent that evening with Scott, why hadn't she come forward to save his life? And then at last we had the answer. From Miss Terry's nurse.
She's been very ill for weeks. Quite irrational. It often happens in these cases of shock.
Shock?
Yes, her fiancé died just before their wedding. He was sick only 2 days.
Oh, that's too bad.
She seemed to take it rather well at first. Until that day she went into town. She didn't come back till late that night.
That may have been the night she met with Scott. If we could just talk to her.
Carol, if she's irrational.
Oh, that's right. Wouldn't help. Nurse, could we see Miss Terry's hats?
Why, of course. They're all here in this closet.
At least if we could find the hat, we could prove that Scott was telling the truth. Then maybe that...
Yes, miss?
The hat. There it is on the shelf. I was so terribly happy all the way back to town. But Jack, Mr. Marlowe, was acting strangely, sort of dazed and confused. He said he was having one of his headaches. And when we got to his place, he stretched out on the divan and closed his eyes. After a while, he seemed to be asleep. So I tiptoed into the bedroom to freshen up a bit. I remember I was looking for a comb. I opened the top dresser drawer, and it was there, lying in the drawer. The purse I'd lost at Cliff Milburn's place. I knew now. I knew who had murdered Cliff. I knew who had murdered Scott Henderson's wife. For a moment, I stood there frozen, terrified. And then...
Carol? Carol, what are you doing?
Just freshening up a bit. I'm coming right out. There. Don't I look better? I thought you were asleep.
That light, it hurts my eyes. Turn it off, please.
Of course.
My tie feels like it's choking me. Mind if I take it off?
No.
Thanks. You opened the dresser drawer, didn't you, Carol?
No.
Yes. You saw what was there, the purse.
Oh, please, let's not talk about it now. We can meet tomorrow. It's getting late. I ought to go.
It's no use, Carol. The door is locked.
Locked? You did kill her. You did.
Burgess thinks I was on the boat. He doesn't know I got off before it sailed. She'd promised to go away with me. When I went back to get her, she laughed. She kept on laughing. I had to stop her.
You killed her. And you let them blame Scott.
What should I do? Give up my life, my work?
You let them blame Scott.
What's his life beside mine? A stupid engineer working in sewers, drain pipes, muck.
You did it all. You bribed that bartender and Cliff Milburn.
And then I flew to Havana and caught the boat there. Don't you think I was rather brilliant?
I think you're mad.
Don't say that. Don't say it, you hear?
You're mad. You're sick. Those headaches of yours, they're all part of it, aren't they?
I didn't want to hurt you, Kansas. I tried to warn you. You wouldn't listen. And now...
No.
You're the only one who knows. The only one...
Open up, Marlowe, open up.
Burgess.
Come on, Marlowe, I know you're in there. I've been trailing you all day.
He couldn't. Too clever. Too smart.
All right, if I have to break it down.
That noise. Make him stop. My head. Everything's spinning. Make him stop. I can't stand it. Make him stop. Make him stop.
It's all over now. Scott has been cleared and we're back on the job. The same old job, the same old routine, the same old boss who doesn't dream his secretary is in love. So I start the day like any other. That means the dictaphone to get my instructions for the morning.
Hello, Kansas. I won't be in today. I've got a lot of important things to tend to down at City Hall.
Well, that's that.
Don't hang up yet. I think I'm going to need you tonight. About 6:30 for dinner.
What?
8:30 for the theater.
Oh.
And after that, on to dance and have some fun.
Oh, Scott.
I mean it, Kansas. Tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after that, and every night, and every night, and every night, and every night, and every night.
Thank you, Louise Albritton, Walter Abel, Ralph Bellamy, and David Bruce. Thanks also to Wilbur Hatch for the music and to William Lawrence for his direction. For our next performance from the Globe, we've arranged a revival of a very important motion picture. Not only a great story, but a theme which is which is significant to all people who are concerned with the proper functioning of democracy. This is the Oxbow incident, with the stars Edward Arnold, Henry Davenport, and William Ide. Here's a scene or two by way of preview.
I don't suppose many people remember it now. It was back in 1885, you see. A small thing, not much. You might say just an incident. The town looked almost deserted that day. A few wooden shacks, a blazing sun, one dusty street, and nothing moving except an old, tired, mongrel dog. Until that cowhand came pounding down the road, pulled up his horse in front of Darby's saloon and yelled,
"Hey, men! Where's everybody? Where are you, men?"
The boys came filing out of the bar. And pretty soon, by the way they sounded, I could tell that something was wrong. So I left my place. I ran the general store, you see, and went right over to find out. Darby was the one who told me, standing behind the bar, polishing glass.
Someone got Larry Kincaid last night. They found him laying in a dry wash this morning.
Dead?
Shot right through the head.
But who? Kincaid didn't have any enemies. Who'd do a thing like that?
There's been a lot of cattle stolen this year.
You mean rustlers?
Maybe. Jeff Farnley's taking it pretty hard. Him and Kincaid were buddies.
Yes, I know.
Then the other boys are kind of hot, too. They find them rustlers, they might do something about it.
A lynching?
I wouldn't be surprised.
You've just heard a sampling of the forthcoming fare from the stage of this Servicemen's Playhouse. At our next performance, the Globe Theatre presents Edward Arnold, Henry Davenport, and William Ide in The Oxbow Incident. By the way, if there's some particular movie story or stage play you'd like to have us plan here in adaptation form, drop us a note, will you? Or if there's some star whose voice you'd like to hear over the Globe Theatre microphone, just tell us the name and we'll do our best to arrange for the people you want to hear at the earliest possible date. The address remains Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Until the next performance from the Globe Theatre, then, this is Herbert Marshall saying so long, and I'll be seeing you.
You have been listening to the Globe Theater with Herbert Marshall as host and master of ceremonies. The Globe Theater is presented for servicemen and women of the Allied Armed Forces all over the globe. Listen for our next Globe Theater production soon. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service. Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama for servicemen and women all over the globe. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everybody. A shipboard romance and a fast shuffle of the cards provide the setting for our play tonight. It's The Lady Eve, starring Ralph Bellamy, Betty Field, and Guy Kibbe. I think you'll find it quite amusing. Although our programs usually originate in Hollywood, tonight we're in New York. Harold Lloyd, the producer of tonight's adaptation of The Lady Eve, has his own story on assembling a New York cast for this broadcast, so I'll let him tell you all about it. Here he is, Harold Lloyd.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. This week we're broadcasting from New York, and of course the big city is just the place for everything to happen, especially to a country boy with horn-rimmed glasses like myself. For instance, the other morning, there I was waiting in line in a certain store, clamoring for a certain commodity. Suddenly I felt someone pushing me.
Come on, Bob, I'm in a hurry.
Now, wait a minute. Well, if it isn't Ralph Bellamy.
Harold Lloyd, what are you doing in New York?
You'd make the perfect hero, Charlie Pike. Ralph, you're my man.
Pardon me, gentlemen, I'm in a hurry and...
Oh, sorry. Ladies first, everywhere but on a cigarette line. Well, Betty Field.
Betty, just the person I've been looking for.
Why, Ralph, this is so sudden.
You're going to play opposite me in The Lady Eve on Sunday night.
Now, wait a minute. Who's producing this show?
Why, Harold, don't you want me to play the Lady Eve?
Of course I do, but I didn't want Bellamy to beat me to it. It's yours, Betty.
Out of my way, please. Out of my way.
Now, look, mister, we're all... Well, Guy Kibbe.
Thank you.
And just the person for the part of Colonel Harrington in our play. Rehearsal time, 1:30 Sunday. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we got around to casting tonight's show. And now, for our play, The Lady Eve. Just what do you know about archaeology? Well, if you know that it's a study of snakes, you're either a crossword puzzle addict or one of the select tiny group which includes a young man who's heir to $100 million, one Charlie Pike. Right now, in the luxurious salon of the steamship Southern Cross, a liner bound from South America to New York, every feminine glance is cast coyly, boldly, languorously, and even wantonly in one direction. But Charlie Pike, the center of it all, sits there absorbed in a thick book entitled Are Snakes Necessary? At a nearby table, Colonel Harry Harrington and his beautiful daughter Jean are also appraising Charlie, but with a look as cool and as calculating as that of a couple of safecrackers passing a bank.
I hope he thinks he's a wizard at cards.
And to make things perfect, I hope he's got a big fat wife so I don't have to dance with him. I don't know why it is, Harry, but a sucker always steps on your feet.
Don't be vulgar, Jean. Let us be crooked if we must, but never common. He's getting up from the table. He's coming this way.
Don't worry, Harry. Watch me go to work.
What are you going to drop? Your modesty?
I dropped that years ago. Mine is the director post. I'm going to drop the sucker himself. Watch this. Why don't you look where you're going?
Why don't I look? Well, you're
See what you did to my shoe. You knocked the heel off.
I did? Well, I certainly am very sorry.
Well, you can just take me right to my cabin for another pair of slippers.
Yes, it's the least I can do, isn't it? Oh, by the way, my name is Pike.
Everybody knows that, and I don't see the reason for all the commotion. Incidentally, this is my father, Colonel Harrington.
How do you do?
My name's Jean. Come on. I'll see you later, Daddy dear.
Now, don't be long, children.
What's the matter?
That perfume.
Don't you like it?
Like it? I'm cockeyed on it. You see, Jean, I've been, up the Amazon hunting snakes, and you kind of forget how a girl... I mean, there's something about that perfume of yours that...
Oh, you'll get used to it. You mind putting your arms around me? The ship is tossing.
Oh, I never thought perfume could do that to a person. Jean.
Look, maybe I'd better hold you. Oh, here's my cabin.
Oh, it is it?
The shoes are right in the closet, Charles. And because you were so polite, you can pick them out yourself. More than that, you can put them on me, if you like.
Holy Moses. You got enough shoes to... Oh, these little slippers, these little silver ones look pretty.
Well, if those are the ones you like.
Doesn't seem possible anyone could wear slippers this small.
A very pretty feet. Well, aren't you going to put them on?
Yes. Yeah.
Don't you feel well?
I feel fine.
What were you doing up the Amazon? I thought you were in the ale business.
I hate ale. I don't like pale ale, brown ale, porter, or stout. The very thought of it makes me gulp. Oh. When I was in school, everybody called me Hopsy. You know, hops and ale. Hopsy Pike.
Hopsy. I like that.
Make it Charlie, will you?
All right, but there's something cute about Hopsy. And then when you get older, I could call you Popsy. Hopsy Popsy.
That's all I need.
Don't you think you can let go of my foot now?
Your foot. Such a lovely foot. Oh, yes, a lovely foot.
Why, Hopsy, you ought to be kept in a cage.
Oh, Gene, I didn't mean...
I think we'd better join Father in the card room. I'm sure he's waiting for us very impatiently.
You wouldn't mind my asking you to come out here?
Well, it wouldn't be very polite if I said I did, would it?
No, I don't suppose it would.
And it wouldn't be true, either.
You've got the darndest way of bumping a fella down and then bouncing him up again.
And then bumping him down again.
I was just going to say, I can imagine life with you would be a series of ups and downs, lights and shadows, irritation sometimes, but so much happiness.
Why, Hopsy? Are you proposing to me so soon?
Oh, no, of course I'm not.
Then you ought to be more careful. People have been sued for much less.
You certainly are a funny girl for anybody to meet after he's been up the Amazon for a year.
It's a good thing you weren't up there 2 years.
You're very beautiful.
Are you sure it isn't the perfume?
Jean, please.
Tell me something, Hopsy. Why didn't you ever marry? You are old enough, you know.
Well, I guess I never met her, that's all. Why didn't you ever marry?
Same reason, I suppose. Never met him. When I marry, there's going to be somebody I've never seen before. He'll sort of take me by surprise.
Like a burglar?
The night will be heavy with perfume. All of a sudden, I'll hear a step behind me. And somebody whispering in my ear.
Jean.
Oh, Hopsy.
Mr. Pike, your old man has been paying me to watch over you, and I am watching.
But, Murgatroyd, how could that girl and her father be professional gamblers? Think of all the money I won last night.
It is pitiful how a grown man could be so knave. Look, boys, get a load of these pictures, and the words that accompany the same.
Here, let me see. Handsome Harry Harrington and daughter Jean. Professional card shops, bunco, oil wells, mines, and...
Oh, there you are, Hopsy.
Yes,
Oh, you look like the last grave over near the willow.
that's the way I feel. That'll be all, Murgatroyd.
Okay, boys. Anything you say.
Better take a look in this envelope, Miss Harrington.
What?
Go on, open it.
Oh, rather likeness of me, isn't it? Much better of the Colonel.
And you admit it?
Please don't look so upset, darling. I was going to tell you when we got to New York, but I wanted this trip to be as perfect as possible. Maybe I wanted you to love me a little more, too. You believe me, don't you?
Why didn't you let your father rob me last night?
Why do you think I didn't?
I wouldn't know. You thought you were having a lot of fun with me, didn't you?
I was having a lot of fun with you. More fun than I'd ever had with anybody.
You were pretty funny yourself.
When was that?
Trying to play me for a sucker. When they told me who you were even before I met you.
Who's they? Who told you?
Never mind, but I knew about you all along.
You mean you were taking me for a ride? You knew about me all along? That was your idea of a joke. Was that what you were thinking about when you were kissing me? You ought to feel proud of yourself. Well, Mr. Pike, you can take your money, your ale, and your snakes and go to as far up the Amazon as it goes. But get this straight, Hopsy.
Charles is the name.
I'm going to get even with you if it's the last thing I ever do. And don't say I didn't warn you.
Right now, Jean and her father are sitting in the Turf Club box at Belmont Park, throwing away their hard-earned cash in a hopeless attempt to outguess the poser.
Oh, what a dog. He can't even run without his milk wagon.
I beg your pardon. Is this seat safe? Why, handsome Harry. Bless my soul.
Oh, it's you. Well, hello.
And the little lady, oh, still as pretty as a pack of laces.
Hello, Pearlie. How's it going?
It's Sir Alfred at the moment, my pretty. Sir Alfred McGlennon Keith, KCB, at your service.
What's your pitch these days, Sir Alfred?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a little nest on the edge of the town called Bridgefield in Connecticut, a city full of mugs. I mean, millionaires.
Bridgefield? That's very interesting.
How do you bait your trap, Pearlie?
Sir Alfred. Well, I have my horses, I have my dogs, I have my little house, I have my antiques. We play a little game here and a little game there, and then we play somewhere else. My dear boy, it's a dream.
Tell me something, Sir Alfred. Do you know the Pikes?
Know 'em? I practically swill their ale.
Now, Jeannie.
Do you know Charles Pike?
Oh, is that the backward boy who's always toying with toads and snakes and things? I think I've seen him slinking about.
He isn't backward. He's a scientist.
Oh, so that's what's wrong with him. I knew he was peculiar.
Sir Alfred, could I visit you sometime?
Could you visit me?
As your niece?
As my niece?
Now, why don't you stop talking nonsense,
I want to see that guy. I've got some unfinished business with him.
Oh, but, my dear, to be my niece, you'd have to be English.
I've seen English before, and I should be as English as necessary on this occasion, Uncle Alfred. And when I get through with that snake lover on his home ground, you two vultures can have what's left of him.
Mr. and Mrs. Horace Pike request the pleasure of your company June 23rd at dinner to meet the niece of Sir Alfred McGlennon Keith, the Lady Eve Sidwich, RSVP. McClellan Keith, KCB, the Right Honorable the Lady Eve Sidwich.
Pearlie, I'm scared.
Nonsense, my dear. Well, here comes Horace Pike, Charlie's old man. Get a load of him and breathe easy.
Well, how are you, Glenny? Glad to see you, you old lime juicer, you. So, this is your niece you've been telling me about, eh?
Eve, darling, your host this evening, Horace Pike.
Charmed, Mr. Pike.
Look, lay off that Mr. stuff. Just call me Horace.
Horace, how's the thing? What? Oh, but of course you must call me Eve.
Evie? Great.
Well, I'll toddle off and have me a scotch and soda, if you don't mind.
How long you been here, Evie? I mean in America.
3 days, to be exact.
3 days? I didn't know ships were running.
Oh, that young man who just walked into the room, who's he?
Oh, that's my son.
I think I'd like to meet him.
I don't know why, but you asked for it. Oh, Charlie.
Yes, Dan?
Charlie, I want you to meet the Lady Eve Sidwich,
had to do.
I mean, well...
What's the matter, Horace? Isn't your son feeling well?
Some days he's brighter than others.
What I mean to say is, haven't we met before?
But of course, your father just introduced us.
It's not the same voice. It's the face.
Oh, you mean we might have met before? Could it have been in Biarritz?
No, but it could have been aboard the SS Southern Cross on the way up from South America.
I'm afraid it couldn't have been. You see, I've never been to South America.
Never been to South
What's the matter with you, Charlie? Didn't hear what she said?
But she must have been. She looks so much like...
You know, I adore hearing about the Southern Cross and the girl you apparently met. Why don't you tell me about her, Charles? Shall we go into the garden?
Why, yes, I'd like that. I'd like that very much.
Well, I'll be jiggered. Maybe I should have studied snakes.
Now, what did you say this girl's name was? The one on the boat?
Jean.
You were in love with her?
I'm not too sure. I can't tell whether it was her or the perfume.
I say, have you caught cold?
I don't know. It's just that you and, well, somebody else are all mixed up in my mind.
Well, suppose we sit down and talk. This seems to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and I've been waiting for a moment like this for ever so long.
Well, before we go any further, I may as well tell you, I have a strange hobby. You see,
I know. You're fond of snakes.
And that doesn't make any difference to you?
No. In fact, I like certain snakes better than certain people.
Here, Murgatroyd. Help me with my tie. I'm kind of nervous tonight.
Look, boss, you're not going out with her again. You've been seeing her every night for the last 2 weeks, and I tell you she's the same dame you met on a boat.
Oh.
It may be different perfume, but it's the same dame, accent or no accent.
No, Murgatroyd. Why should she do anything like this?
I don't know. Maybe she wants you to fall for her again.
Do I look that dumb?
You wouldn't be the first one. I knew a guy who married the same dame 3 times. And then he turned around and married his aunt.
No, don't you see? If she wanted to pretend to be someone else, she would have altered her appearance. But she didn't dye her hair, and she didn't pretend she'd never seen me before. So I'm on my way to the garden, Murgatroyd, to propose to the most wonderful girl in the world, the Lady Eve.
Oh, I ask you, what can you do with a guy like that?
So long, Murgatroyd. Hello, Eve.
Hello, Charles.
That is, I suppose you know what I wanted to ask you tonight.
If I didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Eve, darling.
When you kiss me like that, I can't refuse you anything.
Eve, we belong together, but you're so beautiful, so fine, I don't deserve you.
Oh, but you do. If anybody ever deserves me, you do. Well, what are we going to do about us, Charles?
What everyone does. We're going to get married. No, we're going to elope.
You took the words right out of my mouth, darling. And I promise you, this is going to be a honeymoon you'll never forget.
Well, dearest, I don't know just what you're supposed to say to your wife at the beginning of a honeymoon, but...
Oh, I think this one is so much more pleasant than the last one.
What? The last one?
Oh, Charles, I'm afraid I didn't tell you.
Tell me what?
About Floppy.
Floppy?
Yes, a friend of the Taters, almost 70. That is, he was almost 70 when he dropped dead.
You mean he dropped dead on your honeymoon?
Oh, no, silly. Floppy lived for 2 years after that. It was Herman who died on our honeymoon.
Herman? Were there any others?
Oh, let me see. There were Chester and Bertie. Bertie was so young. He was only 15, so cute in his groom's uniform.
You married a groom?
Well, he was really a stable boy, but he looked so cute with his little tight pants and boots with yellow tops. Oh, but I mustn't forget Donald and Philip. They were... Why, Charles, what are you doing? If you pull that emergency cord, you'll stop the train.
How else do you expect me to get off?
Get off, but darling, this is our honeymoon.
Our honeymoon? sounds more like a modern version of 1,001 Nights. I'm getting off this train right now. The honeymoon is over.
Charles! Oh, Hopsy!
Jean is sitting in her father's hotel room just 2 days after being deserted by her husband, the frustrated and disillusioned Hopsy, a Pike's Ale fame. She has just put in a long-distance call to Patton Pike in Bridgefield, Connecticut.
Hello?
Hello, Horace. Are you there? This is the Lady Eve Sidwick.
Easy, for heaven's sake. Say, I'm glad you called up. Now, look. Will you be a sensible girl and take $2 million and get a divorce?
Oh, no, thank you, Horace. I won't take a shilling. I'll pay for the divorce myself.
Are you crazy, Jean?
Please, Harry.
To think my own daughter would desert me when $2 million are at stake.
Oh, Horace.
Evie, believe me, you're being a fool about this. Pride is...
Horace, there's only one thing I want from you. I want to talk to Charles alone, because I have something to tell him, something I've just learned myself. After that, I'll leave for Reno.
But you can't talk to Charles, baby. He's flown the coop.
He's what?
He's off women forever. He's back on snakes again, the jerk.
You mean South America?
Yep, up the river again, or will be soon. He's taking the Southern Cross tomorrow.
What? Then why am I wasting my time talking to you? I've got to see a man about a man.
Why don't you... You.
Hello, Hopsy.
Good evening.
It's really you, Jean.
Hello, Hopsy.
I don't know if I'm dreaming, but I'm not taking any chances. Let's get out of the deck, Jean.
Yes, Hopsy.
My dear fellow.
Oh, Colonel, I'm delighted to see you. We must play cards this trip. Lots of cards. Oh, boy, some champagne for the Colonel. Come on, Jean.
I doubt if this is going to be a very profitable trip.
Don't say anything, Hopsy. Just kiss me. Oh, why did you ever let me go? Why did we have to go through all this nonsense? Don't you know you're the only man I ever loved, you big mug?
Will you forgive me?
For what? Oh, you mean on the boat. The question is, will you forgive me?
What for?
Oh, you still don't understand.
I don't want to understand. I don't want to know. Whatever it is, keep it to yourself. All I know is that I adore you. I'll never leave you again. We'll work it out somehow. I'll have the captain marry us first thing in the morning and...
What's the matter?
I forgot something. I am married.
Oh, Hopsy, hold me tight. I'm going to spend all my time making my archaeologist happy.
But I've got to get a divorce.
Over my dead body, you will?
But...
I'm going to buy a barrel of a certain kind of perfume and brush up on a few tricks that have never failed. Never since Eve.
And there you have it, The Lady Eve, starring Ralph Bellamy, Betty Field, and Guy Khabib with Harold Lloyd as the producer. An excellent job all around. Incidentally, tonight's radio adaptation was selected from the Comedy Theater. I'm very happy to report to you who serve in the armed forces overseas that we are getting a wide response to the announcement of our Globe Theater contest. This, you know, is an opportunity for you to write a radio play. We will produce it on Globe Theater with an all-star cast of your own choosing. For further details, see your special service officer or inquire at this radio station. Or you may write to Contest Editor, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. By the way, if you write to us for more information about the contest, A letter by V-mail will reach us quicker than ordinary mail, and our reply to you will be on its way in much shorter time. Matter of fact, it's a good idea to write V-mail anytime. Now, about the next presentation in the Globe Theater. It's a story about a cow that runs in a horse race. Yes, that's what I said. A cow. Jack Carson and Stuart Irwin are the stars in George Cronin's amusing comedy, Harold Peavy's Fast Cow. Here's a brief scene to give you some idea of the comic things that happen when a black Jersey cow named Mabel gets mixed up in a horse race.
There's the judges' stand over there, Harold. See it?
Yeah, I see it, but why are all those people laughing? Mabel isn't that funny.
Go on, just walk right up and give them your $5 entrance fee.
I will. I just wish those people would stop laughing.
That's it. What are you doing here on the track?
Oh, are you one of the judges?
I am, and I must insist.
I'm entering my racer, Mabel.
You can't do this. You can't enter a cow.
Oh, yes, I can. You read your own entrance blank and see if it says anything about disqualifying racing cows. Here's my $5.
I say you can't enter that animal. This is no cattle show.
Here. What's the trouble?
And this man's trying to enter a cow in the last race.
Why not? Free for all, isn't it?
That's right. And I guess a good-looking cow like that one has as much right to run as some of them nags out on the track that looked like they was ready for the boneyard.
Take the vote. I'm against it.
I'm for it.
And I'm for it. 2 against 1. Mabel can run. Get in line, please, now.
Now, men, there won't be no false start. When the gun goes, you just lick into it.
All right, Mabel, don't mind them laughing. We'll show them.
Ready? Set.
Oh, Mr. Crumb. Will Harold be all right?
Well, Sadie.
Oh, and don't use that surprise tone of voice. We both knew all the time I liked him better than that old lawyer, Murphy. Come on, Mabel.
Come on, Mabel.
What's the matter with Mabel, Mr. Crumb? She's left.
It's okay, Sadie. Mabel just got to get on the rail. She'll do okay now.
Come on, Mabel.
There
come
she
on.
comes.
Oh, come on, Mabel. Oh, Mr. Crumb, you really think she'll win?
I've got 2 $5 bills on her. She better.
Come on, Mabel.
Now she's in third. That big gray mare. She looks like a professional.
That's peaches and cream. That's Mr. Murphy's horse.
Here they come down the track.
You want to know who wins the race? Well, at the risk of sounding like an announcer on a soap opera, I guess you'll just have to wait until our next broadcast. But don't miss it. Harold Peavy's Fast Cow, starring Jack Carson and Stuart Irwin. And, of course, I'll be back in the Globe Theater, too. And so until then, this is your host, Herbert Marshall, wishing you good luck, and I'll be seeing you.
You have been listening to the Globe Theater with Herbert Marshall as host and master of ceremonies. The Globe Theater is presented for servicemen and women of the Allied Armed Forces all over the globe. Listen for our next Globe Theater production soon. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama for servicemen and women all over the globe. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, one of the favorite actors of the English-speaking world, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everyone. Tonight, our playbill at the Globe reads Brian Donlevy and Lucille Ball in A Night to Remember. The great McGinty is here himself to play a part which is as different from the great McGinty as Boris Karloff is from Donald Duck. But I'm certain you'll enjoy Brian in the role of a crime-happy mystery story writer named Geoffrey Troy. His wife, Nancy, is portrayed by Lucille Ball, quite as lovely as ever, both in voice and in person. The play is one of those mystery comedies with a blackmail note in between every gag line. It takes place down in Greenwich Village in New York City. And in case you've never been there, it's a neighborhood where all the streets run in strange directions, where the houses are ancient and colorful, and where art and young love flourish on a shoestring. That you'll find out for yourself as the curtain rises on tonight's Globe Theater production, starring Lucille Ball and Brian Donlevy in A Night to Remember.
The address was 39 Gay Street, New York. I had a strange feeling about the place right from the start. First the scream, and then...
Jeff, there's something crawling across the floor.
39 Gay Street, New York. You know, an artist might call that Greenwich Village. A social worker might call it the slums. Sure, I pointed all that out to Nancy, but she was sort of sensitive, I guess, because, you see, she'd rented the place without even asking me, and, well, anyway, you know how women are.
Now, Jeff, I've said it all before.
Many times, darling.
And I'll say it again. If you're going to write a novel about Greenwich Village, then you
ought to live in Greenwich Village.
You funny man.
Quite frankly, I didn't like number 39 Gay Street. I don't think you would have liked it either. One of those musty old brownstone fronts they'd cut up into small apartments. And when we went up the steps that night and entered the hall, our landlord wasn't exactly overjoyed to see us.
I wasn't expecting you, Mrs. Troy. And not till Thursday.
Well, I thought as long as the apartment was vacant. You see, my husband is a writer, and he's very anxious to get to work.
Yes, we'll be glad to pay you for the 3 extra days.
Oh, no, it isn't that. No. You see, I haven't had the lights turned on, and the apartment isn't cleaned yet. And, I mean, perhaps if you'd have stayed at a hotel tonight, by tomorrow I could have everything ready.
Oh, but our furniture's on the way from Connecticut. It ought to be here in an hour or so. I guess we'll just have to... what was that?
Well, it wasn't the 6 o'clock whistle.
It came from downstairs.
Mrs. Troy, I assure you it's nothing at all.
Mr. Turner, it happened again.
Well, what happened?
Down in the basement, that thing, whatever it is. It crawled across my feet.
Stop that, Mrs. Hunter. Stop it at once. Now, you go to my apartment and wait for me there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Say, what did she mean?
Oh, you mustn't mind her, Mr. Troy. She's my janitor, you see. An excellent worker, strong as an ox, but when she works in the basement, she gets hallucinations. That's absurd, isn't
it? Yeah, silly. Well, if you'll lend us some candles, Mr. Turner, we'll have a look at our little nest. Come along, Nancy. Let's you and me go up, huh?
Jeff, it isn't up, it's down.
Well, then let's go down and see our little... Down?
I forgot to tell you, it's the basement apartment.
It didn't look so bad by candlelight. The living room was pretty fair size, one door opening on the street and another opening on the hall, and the bedroom had a door that opened right on a garden. That's what had Nancy so excited.
Oh, just imagine, darling, a garden right outside your bedroom in the heart of New York. Why, we can even have a victory garden.
Mm-hmm. Good soil, too. Lots of iron in it.
How do you know?
Well, isn't that a horseshoe lying there?
Jeff, you found a lucky piece. Pick it up.
Where'll I wear it?
You just hold it tight and make a wish.
Oh. Okay, I've made it.
What'd you wish?
Well, while we're waiting for our furniture, I wish we could find a restaurant where they still have some steaks. Cute name for a restaurant. Polly's Stable. Must be a good place to put on the feed bag.
You funny man. Good evening, folks. How's everything?
Well, the martinis are swell, but I need some toast.
Toast? What kind? White or rye?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I just want to stick it under the leg of this table.
Look, Jeff, while you order dinner, I'll go and phone the cleaners about our drapes.
Well, I'm pretty hungry, Nancy. Will you be back soon?
Uh-huh, and 2 shakes of a dry martini.
Hey, listen, I've had about enough, darling. You meet me tonight or it's going to be curtains.
Gosh, that's in the next booth.
Yeah, let's meet the same place as before. 39 Gay Street, the basement apartment. You heard me. That's all.
39 Gay Street. The basement apartment. Oh, gee. Jeff, while I was in that telephone booth, Oh, excuse me, I didn't realize the waitress was still here.
She isn't the waitress. She owns the joint. Darling, meet Polly. Polly, meet Darling.
Hello, darling.
How do you do?
Now, Nancy, you were saying...
Jeff, you see that man at the bar with the hair growing down his forehead and the scar on his chin?
Uh-huh.
Well, I heard him threatening someone in the next booth, telling him to meet him in our apartment.
Well, they couldn't meet in the telephone booth, so I guess if they want... Our apartment?
I distinctly heard him say 39 Gay Street, the basement apartment.
39 Gay Street?
Yes, do you know the place?
Oh, sure. I live there myself on the second floor.
Oh, you do? Well, then maybe you know who that...
Excuse me, we're awful busy tonight. See you later, folks. Enjoy your dinner.
Jeff, she acted so strangely. What's it all about?
Oh, I think I better find out. I'm going over and have a talk with that guy.
No, Jeff, don't.
Well, now you just wait there, Nancy. Hiya, pal.
I'm not your pal, and keep your hands to yourself.
Hey, just a minute. Who do you think you're shoving?
Don't like it, huh?
No.
Well, maybe you'll like this better.
Jeff, darling, open your eyes. Speak to me.
Is that guy still here?
No. He's gone. He ran out.
Okay, honey. What'll we talk about?
My hero. Now you'll need 2 steaks, one for your stomach and one for your eye.
Huh? Home, sweet home. And there's no place on earth I'd rather not be.
Jeff, it's awfully dark in here.
Yeah, lucky we bought these extra candles. Well, there we are. That gives us some light.
But don't you understand? I left a candle lit when we went out to dinner.
Oh, well, it must have blown out. Any little draft could... Ouch!
What's the matter?
Oh, my foot. I stubbed my toe. Hey, look. It's that darn horseshoe. My lucky piece, no less.
That's odd. What's it doing on the floor? You put it on the windowsill.
Say, that's right. How did it get on the...
Jeff, listen, you hear that noise?
Sounds like water running in the bathroom. I'd better have a look, huh?
Hey, not without me.
All right, here. Put the candle down on the floor.
Right.
That's it. Steady now. You with me, Nancy? Nancy!
Jeff, look. That candle is moving.
Gosh.
Hey, what's so funny?
Look, it's a turtle. It must have come in from the garden. You put the candle right down on its back. Hey, I'll bet that's what's been scaring Mrs. Salter, too. Come on, now let's have a look at that bathroom. There you are, Nancy. You see? There's some water running out of the tub.
That's what I mean. Where'd the water come from?
Well,
We didn't fill that tub.
That's right. We didn't. Oh, I know. That guy from the restaurant came in here to take a bath, but he was very modest, so he blew out the candle. And he pitched horseshoes to dry himself off.
You funny man.
Oh, well, there's no use getting all upset, Nancy. Ooh, what's that?
Maybe he's back again. Jeff, don't go.
Don't worry, I'm not.
Anybody home? Got a load of furniture here.
Oh, it's just the furniture.
Yeah. Imagine being scared by an overstuffed chair. It was quiet enough the rest of that night, but in the morning things really started to happen. First of all, the police woke us up.
Sorry to get you folks out of bed, but the neighbors complain. Fella lying in your garden without any clothes.
In our garden? Well, he's got a nerve. Well, go on out there and get him out of there. Wake him up.
Oh, I wish I could. He happens to be dead.
And then later, when they had us look at the corpse, Nancy had to go and blurt.
Why, Jeff, it's the man you had a fight with in the restaurant last night.
Now, just let me get this straight, Mr. Troy, about this exchange of blows last night.
Inspector, there wasn't any exchange. Only 2 blows were struck. He struck my husband, and my husband struck the floor.
Ah, no, Nancy, I pushed him once, didn't I?
Now, what's one little push? You didn't murder him, did you?
Who, me?
Say, Inspector.
Yes, Balling?
I got a little dope for you. The guy's name was Kaufman, Louis Kaufman. Had an apartment up on the 3rd floor.
Who told you that?
Oh, you wouldn't guess in a million years. Remember during Prohibition this place was a speakeasy? Joe's place it was called. And Joe had a partner.
Eddie Turner.
Yeah, that's right. Remember we grilled him, and when Joe disappeared, well, little Eddie's still around. In fact, he's the landlord of this joint.
That's interesting.
Inspector Hankin?
Yeah?
My name is Lingle. I have an apartment in this building.
That's right, Chief. I got his name on the list.
I want you to know, sir, if I can help in any way.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Lingle. We may call on you.
Oh, I'm in the phone book. The Lingle Art Studios. Anytime at all, Inspector. Anytime at all.
Inspector, if you don't mind my putting in a word.
Not at all, Mr. Troy.
Well, I think you should have questioned him. After that conversation my wife overheard, you should question everyone in this house.
Mr. Troy, remember, you live here, too.
Oh, that's silly. Jeff isn't the murderer's type.
Oh, I didn't say he was. Come on, Balling, let's go out and look at Kaufman's apartment.
Wait a minute, Inspector. Just look at these books. Murder in the laundry, murder in the air, murder in the subway. Must be a couple of dozen of them. Somebody got murder on the brain.
Mr. Troy, you said you were a novelist? You didn't by chance...
You bet. I wrote every one of them. Murder Mysteries by Jeffrey Yort. That's my name spelled backwards. Troyort. You get it?
Yes. Didn't you write a book called Murder in Prison?
I sure did. How'd you like it, Inspector?
Well, I thought it was the kind of a detective story that knits.
Knits? Oh, you mean all the clues fall into one place?
No, I mean knits. Knits. You spell that backwards, too.
Knittin.
Mr. Hankins, you're not a detective. You're a critic.
Well, I guess that made me pretty mad. Made me want to show the inspector up, so while Nancy was throwing some breakfast together, I sort of wandered through the halls looking for clues. That was how I ran into Polly. You know, the girl we met the night before. Well, one thing led to another, and then she asked me in to have some coffee, and that's when it happened. I noticed the letter lying on the coffee table, and quite casually I read the address. To Mr. Andrew Brule, 507 West 12th. Only Polly seemed to get upset, and she made a grab for the letter, but I got it first, and just to tease her, you know, just for a gag, well, there we are, sort of wrestling for it, and I guess she has her arms around me when all of a sudden Nancy shows up.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right, sweet. We were just kidding around.
Yes, over this letter. Well, when you get through playing post office, Mr. Troy, your breakfast is ready.
Say, I think she's mad.
I better go and explain. Nancy! Oh, Nancy, wait a minute.
You stay away from me, you bluebeard.
Oh, Nancy, you're not jealous, darling. That's silly.
You're never jealous, I suppose.
Of course I'm not.
How about when the butcher saved me that roast? You weren't jealous. Oh, no, just mad enough to kill, that's all.
Darling, shh.
I will not. Shh. You were mad enough to kill.
Say, Mr. Troy, I want to speak to you.
Oh, now look what you've done.
Let's get down to your apartment, folks. A few more questions I'd like to ask. Mr. Troy, did you ever see this horseshoe before?
Oh, sure. That's my lucky piece.
Wasn't so lucky for Louis Kaufman.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's dried blood on it. And these strands of hair are from the dead man's head.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that this horseshoe was the murder weapon?
Now you're getting hot, and I do mean hot.
Oh, say, Chief, we checked the fingerprints on that horseshoe. They're his, all right.
Whose?
Yours.
Oh.
Okay, Troy. Get your hat and coat.
Wait a minute. He hasn't done anything. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Jeff, darling, don't go. You haven't even had your breakfast.
That's all right, baby. Don't you worry. I had a cup of coffee upstairs with Polly.
Oh, with Polly. Take him along, Inspector, and I hope he gets light.
Well, they kept me down at headquarters all that day. But then some new development turns up, so that evening they let me go. Nothing else happened till late that night. I guess I must have been sleeping pretty soundly when...
Jeff, wake up.
What's the matter now?
There's somebody in this apartment. I can hear him walking around.
Well, tell him to sit down. In this apartment?
Shh. Hear that sound?
I wish I didn't.
Don't go out there. You might get killed.
Yeah, I know. But if I just stay here and listen, I'll die of fright.
Your golf bag is standing here in the corner.
Huh?
Maybe you can hit him with a golf club.
I don't know. I could never hit a ball. Oh, well, we'll try it. Come on.
There he is, Jeff.
Huh?
I can see him outlined against the window.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't move now. I've got you.
Oh, Jeff. Sure, you got him, only he didn't know about it. Now he's gone.
This is no time to argue, Nancy. Turn on the light.
Okay.
Hey, Nancy, look. He dropped his knife.
I knocked over the screen. If men weren't so clumsy, they'd...
Say, honey, this isn't our screen.
I know. Mr. Turner lent it to me to cover the window till our Drakes got back.
Well, there must be something about this screen that... Sure. There it is. He was scraping something off with that knife. See it, Nancy? Something 07 West 12th Street.
That first number looks like it might be a 5.
507 West 12th. Hey, that sounds familiar. I wonder where I... Wait a minute. I know. 507 West 12th. That was what was on Polly's letter.
The one she had to wrestle you for?
And the name was Brule, Andrew Brule. And somebody didn't want us to know it.
Well, it wasn't Polly. It was a man.
Yeah, and it wasn't Turner. He's not that big.
Listen, who's that?
Why don't you ask?
Yes? Who's there?
It's me, Mr. Lingle. I heard a noise. I thought there might be some trouble. Can I be of any help?
Well, if you find a stray heart in your throat, it's mine.
It's all right, Mr. Lingle. Everything's under control, thank you.
Oh, that's fine. Well, good night.
Such a nice man, always wanting to help.
Well, that doesn't answer the question of Mr. Brule. Say, Nancy, call me a cab, will you? I'm going in and put some clothes on.
Jeff, it's after 1 o'clock.
Well, if Mr. Brule is a respectable guy, he'll be home and asleep. And I'm going to wake him up.
Oh, that's swell, except for one slight mistake.
Mistake?
Yes. We're going to wake him up.
Yes, what is it?
Oh, good evening, madam. I'm sorry to disturb you, but it's very urgent that I see Mr. Brule.
Ain't no Mr. Brule here, and it ain't evening, it's morning, and you ought to be ashamed. Good night.
Cute kid.
Jeff, are you sure you had the right address?
Absolutely positive. You know, Nancy, it's funny. His mail should be sent to a place where he doesn't even live. I think we ought to check with the post office, you know it?
Darling, not tonight.
Well, no, I guess it can wait till morning.
Here's the clerk now. Go ahead, Jeff. Ask him.
Here. My name is Brule. Andrew Brule, 507 West 12th. I haven't been getting my mail lately. Would you please check and see if there's something wrong?
Why, Mr. Brule, you gave us instructions over a year ago to hold all mail and general delivery. Don't you remember?
Well...
Oh, he's so absent-minded.
Oh, is that so?
Sometimes he even forgets he's married.
Well, that certainly clears things up for me.
It does?
Mr. Brule, I guess you just forgot. You called up here about an hour ago.
I did?
Surely. You asked if anyone had tried to pick up your mail. Sounded kind of
Worried, too?
Oh, he's just the worrying type. Come along, dear. There are others waiting. Come on.
Yeah, that's not, well, thanks, old man. Much obliged.
Not at all, Mr. Brule. Don't mention it.
Jeff, what do you think?
I think Mr. Brule is worrying, too. It's pretty clear now, Nancy. He's mixed up in this murder some way, and he knows that we've gotten a line on him. Well, the next thing, I guess he'll come after us.
Jeff, what do we do?
What can we do? Just sit tight and wait. And when he comes, we'll grab him.
Jeff, what time is it now?
Oh, just a few minutes to midnight.
Midnight?
Say, what are you so scared about? We've got all the lights on. I've got my trusty mid-iron here, and... Hey, the lights. Who turned those lights off?
Not me.
Then it must have been the murderer. The fuse box is out there in the hall.
Jeff, there's something coming through the door.
Steady now. Steady, Nancy. All right, you. Whoever you are, you better give up. I got you covered.
Oh, Jeff!
I've got him. Jeff! Nancy, I got him. Give me a hand, will you?
Jeff!
Sock him with something, Nancy.
Yeah.
A chair, anything.
I'm coming, Jeff.
Hit him, Nancy.
I'll help you, darling. There, take that, you nasty man. I'll teach you to hurt Jeff. I'll teach you to...
Hey. What hit me?
Oh, Jeff, it's you. Oh, darling, I'm sorry. It's so dark in here.
Well, maybe it is, but I can see stars. Hey, the murderer. Where'd he go?
I don't know. That was the door, Jeff. He must have gone out.
Hey, listen. Police whistles. How did the cops get here?
How do you think? I called them this afternoon.
Oh, look, the lights are on again.
They must have fixed the fuse.
Say, did you call the cops or the electricians?
Hey, nice work, Mr. Troy. We nabbed him all right.
Yeah? Who was it, Inspector?
Mr. Andrew Brule, alias Mr. Lingle.
Mr. Lingle? Who lives upstairs, the one who wanted to help?
Oh, that was a front. Like his art studios were just a front for his blackmailing.
Blackmailing?
Sure. He was collecting from every person in this house, and they didn't know that Brule and Lingle were one and the same.
But how could he blackmail all these people?
Oh, easy enough. Just get something on them that might embarrass them. Funny the things that people will try to hide. Since he only spoke over the phone to them, they never guessed who he was.
Yeah, but what about Kaufman? Why was he killed?
Well, I guess Kaufman was the only one who suspected the truth. And when he insisted on having a showdown, Lingle had to kill him to keep him quiet.
Well, I guess that's that case, Inspector. I sure am glad I was in on the finish.
Finish is right, Mr. Troy. Only it might have been yours.
Huh?
We just took this knife off Lingle. Pretty mean looking, isn't it?
You mean he was going to...
Mr. Troy, he's fainted.
Oh, dear. Jeff, open your eyes. Darling, get up. Please get up. You've got to get up, Jeff. You got your good suit on.
Thus we conclude tonight's play from the Globe Theatre, A Night to Remember. Many thanks to Seal Ball and Brian Donlevy for your grand performances. I know that every serviceman and servicewoman listening joins in the applause. Although, in all frankness, I must confess that I had a sneaking hunch that Mr. Lingle was the culprit all along. From a reasonably long lifetime of reading mystery novels, I have learned to look with a great deal of suspicion on those characters with the bland and naive faces who want to help the police solve the crime. However, I believe we are safe in assuming that Mr. Lingle will get his just deserts according to the due processes of law. So we can proceed safely to the consideration of what's on the bill the next time the curtain rises here in the Globe Theatre. Our guest, it so happens, will be a gentleman by the name of William Shakespeare, portrayed by the well-known star of the Broadway stage and motion pictures, Vincent Price. If you can imagine the Bard of Avon brought to life and put to work at a modern motion picture studio, well, then you have a fair idea of what to expect in the Globe Theatre production of Mr. Shakespeare. Here are a few scenes by way of preview.
Where are we taking him?
The Beverly Wilshire. I've reserved a suite.
Don't you think it's kind of strange he hasn't said anything?
Well, give him a chance. Listen.
Gentlemen, I beg your forgiveness. I've been through a most harrowing experience. It seemed almost that I'd been dead.
Yeah, but you were...
Maury, well, wait a minute. How are you feeling, Mr. Shakespeare?
Strange. Quite strange. What manner of conveyance is this?
Oh, this is an automobile. You didn't have these in Stratford-on-Avon, did you?
This is not Stratford. What place is it?
Wilshire Boulevard.
Yes, we're in Beverly Hills.
In England?
No. We're in California. In the United States of America.
I have never heard of these places. In what direction do they lie from England?
West.
Not Ireland?
No, far to the west. Across the ocean.
The New World?
Yes.
I thought there were only savages here. Do they know of this in England?
Here we are.
Yes. Be careful, sir. The sidewalk is slippery.
To what king does this palace belong?
Come right inside.
What? It's like day.
Maury, go over to the desk and register. It's room 1004. We don't want to attract any attention in the lobby.
Don't worry about his clothes. Any place else in the country, yes, but in Hollywood, they just think he's another dress extra. I'll see you upstairs.
Yes. This way, Mr. Shakespeare. The elevators are back here.
Elevators?
Yeah. I know this is going to seem very confusing to you. I can offer no explanation. But this is the year 1944. Somehow we've been able to bring you back from the past. I hope you're not angry or annoyed.
Angry?
Yeah.
Why, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. What an idea for a play.
There'll be a spot reserved for you beside this same loudspeaker when the Globe Theatre presents Mr. Shakespeare, starring Vincent Price and a very talented new Hollywood actress, Miss Betsy Blair. In closing, I'd just like to remind you that every performance here is planned especially for all the members of the Allied Armed Forces. It's your theater, and we want to present the stars and the stories that you want most to hear. A letter to us here at the Globe Theatre will receive very prompt attention, and we'll do our very best to bring you the people you are most anxious to hear. We can always be reached care of Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Until our next performance, then, this is Herbert Marshall wishing you the best of everything, and I'll be seeing you.
This has been the Globe Theater, broadcast to members of the Armed Forces of the United Nations. Your host and master of ceremonies has been the well-known motion picture star, Herbert Marshall, who will return soon with another Globe Theater play. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service. Here's your pass to the Globe Theater.
This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama for servicemen and women all over the globe. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, one of the favorite actors of the English-speaking world, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Globe Theater. Tonight we depart from our usual type performance in this servicemen's playhouse to bring you a story about the distant future. It's in two parts. First, a stroll into the polar regions, which are certainly going to be our front door stoops in the air age to come. And second, a trip into outer space. Not on the cover of an astonishing stories magazine, but as a trip may very likely take place in the scientific world of the future. Of course, any glimpse of what lies before us in time is purely a matter of conjecture. However, for all of us, and especially the men and women in uniform, the future is our hope and our challenge. There is no particular star in tonight's Globe Theater play, but you will hear from a number of very fine actors and actresses who are familiar to you on the radio and on motion picture screens. Among them is Hans Conried, who plays Dr. Natierboeuf, and Lon McAllister, who has been making a very fine name for himself in pictures these days. Shift your imaginations into high gear, ladies and gentlemen. We are off to visit the North Pole of the distant future.
Nuts.
What's the matter, dear?
It looks as if we're stuck here for another 2 hours. The pilot won't take off until the wind dies down to 100 miles an hour.
Well, I suppose he's just playing it safe.
Oh, it's a lot of foolishness. I've taken my flipper off in stronger winds than this.
Well, there are worse places to be stuck than the North Pole.
I don't know where. The South Pole, maybe. Hey, let's pop in the snack bar. Grab them all.
All right. You know, I'm glad we're stuck here. I've always wanted to see this place from the ground. It looks so interesting every time we flew over.
Right in here.
Top of the world snack bar, huh? Oh, this is cute.
Yeah. Hey, here's the table. Sit you down.
Thank you, sir. Oh, look, Joe.
Huh?
A new vitamin book cover for our collection.
Hey, North Pole Biltmore.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we don't have one of these.
I'll put it in my purse.
Gee, you can keep more stuff in that purse of yours. Next thing I know, you'll be keeping a parachute in there.
Silly. Parachute went out with a skirt.
What'll it be, folks?
I don't know. What's yours, hon?
Oh, I think I'd like a chocolate mousse.
Yeah, make that too.
Oh, gee, folks, I'm sorry. The refrigerator's broke. I'm all out of ice cream.
A couple of hot chocolates, then.
Check.
All right.
Hey, that's a smooth pianist you have here.
Oh, he isn't here.
He isn't?
Oh, certainly not. That three-dimensional television kind of fools you for a second.
Yeah, it sure does.
That's Eddie Duchin, Jr. He plays in all the Biltmore hotels at the same time.
Pretty smooth. Say, we got a couple hours to kill. What's there interesting to do up here at the pole?
Well, you might try that there 35-cent tour of North Pole City. It's pretty interesting in spots.
Oh, that sounds good.
Then there's a pool in the basement if you'd like to swim.
Oh, not me, brother.
It's very nicely heated, sir, and with all that artificial sunlight, why, it's exactly like Palm Springs.
It's just the idea of swimming at the North Pole. Ooh, gives me goose pimples. Or maybe I was raised wrong.
Or you could take an elevator down under the ice. That trip in glass-bottom submarine's real educational.
Whoa, who wants to see an iceberg's underdrawers? We'll take that 35-cent tour.
Follow me, please, for the next stop on our Polar City tour.
That grand ballroom was really beautiful, wasn't it, dear?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't like it nearly as much as the Admiral Byrd room at the Antarctic Ritz.
Now, will you please stand right here, sir, right in the center of this room?
Okay. Now what?
Which direction would you say is east?
East. This way.
I'm sorry, sir. There is no east where you're standing.
Huh?
And no west. And no north.
Well, I give up. Where am I?
Well, from where you're standing, sir, every direction is south. You're smack on the North Pole.
Am I?
How do you feel, dear?
It's just like Santa Claus.
Oh, incidentally, there's a toy shop over here. That's in case you want to bring some kids a present from the North Pole.
Oh, we haven't got time. What's this over here, guide?
Where?
Oh, yeah, that thing in the glass case.
Oh, well, that's the original Perry tent. And that's the American flag he planted here. You know, back then they didn't have hot and cold running water. But they sure had air conditioning.
Yeah, that I can believe.
I'm sorry that the mines are closed to tourists during the winter season.
Mines? Way up here?
Oh, certainly. Why, the world's richest deposit of pitchblende lies underneath the Arctic Ocean.
Yeah? What's pitchblende?
Well, that's the stuff that radium is made from. They mine it here, and then they ship it by cargo planes to Vladivostok.
How far is Vladivostok?
Oh, about the same as Seattle. 5 hours. Hey, have you folks dropped in at the game room?
No. What's that?
Well, it's right over here, through this glass door. Well, the air drive on that door is getting noisy. I'll have to report that to maintenance.
Boy, what a rumpus room.
Oh, Joe, watch those ping pong players. They're really good.
Hey, how do you like
That's an unusual game they're playing, too. You see, the funny thing about this room is that the international date line runs straight through it.
Huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, it goes smack along the net of that ping pong table.
Well, I'll be darned.
And that means that the guy on this side of the table is playing on Friday, and the guy on that side of the table is playing on Sunday.
Oh, that's the craziest thing I ever heard of.
My gosh.
If you watch the scoring, you'll see that Sunday's a little ahead of Friday.
It usually is. Hey, tell me, son, how long you worked up here?
Oh, ever since the place opened a couple of years ago. I like it because it's so handy to home. Oh, watch the door, please.
Where's home?
Oslo. I hitch a plane ride almost every weekend.
That's a wonderful thing about this place. It's handy to everywhere. I never could figure out how they got along back in the old days, when everybody used to travel east and west instead of over the poles. It's almost as if they didn't know the world was round.
Yeah. This is really the crossroads of the world.
You know, I've been thinking, back when Perry trekked up here, folks had the idea that discovery just meant taking a quick look at a place. Now that doesn't mean anything. Well, real discovery is it's making a place livable, building airports and hotels, and digging down to find what's rich underneath. You know, if Horace Greeley was kicking around these days, I'll bet he'd say, "Go north, young man. Go north."
You'd have a hard time going farther north than this, sir.
Oh, boy. Hey, this has been some tour, son. You know, I'm getting sleepy.
Say, why don't we take a sweep and catch the morning plane?
That's a swell idea, huh? But we'd have to be up at the crack of dawn.
Oh, then you'll be a month and a half late for your plane, sir.
Huh?
Up here, the crack of dawn is at March 23rd.
We've shown you one frontier of the distant future, the polar regions. But there is another frontier waiting to be explored, even more distant, more mysterious, more dangerous. Space.
Well,
I'm back.
what did they say?
Many words.
Did they like the plan?
Some did.
And there was a debate?
Many hours.
But, Piotr, the answer. What did they tell you?
The answer, my darling, is yes.
Oh, Piotr.
Come now, you must be happy, darling, as I am happy.
But I know what it means.
Well, so do I. I hope to make you very proud of your husband.
I am proud of you. I know this is what you want to do.
What I must do. Well, I was really quite successful in Geneva.
How much money did they give you?
500,000 international dollars.
So much?
Straight from the treasury of the World Academy of Arts and Sciences. It's enough to build all of my designs according to specification.
How long will it take, Piotr?
Oh, 4 or 5 months. The magnesium mills here in Stalingrad have already started on the molds. I telephoned them from Geneva.
4 or 5 months. And then?
And then the big experiment. We'll tow the projectile by cargo plane to Tibet and finally take off from the peak of Mount Everest for the other worlds.
You alone?
Well, there'll only be room for one and barely room for him to stand up. If I can ever get out there, free, in space, well, I'll have my hands full with things to do.
Darling, why must it be you?
Well, why not?
But you told me yourself that there was only one chance in 10 million that the man who first left the Earth in a spaceship would ever return alive.
Well, perhaps that's what I was born for, Ilona. Perhaps that's why I was spared in the siege of Stalingrad. Perhaps that's why God has given us so much happiness and such a full life, my dear. So that it could end with high purpose and no regret.
But not you. Then Sergei Piotr or the American Dr. Donaldson. He would give anything to be the one.
Well, it's my brainchild, Ilona. I've got to see it through. Ilona, once men dreamed of flying like the birds, and then two Americans conquered the air with wings and motors, and no sooner did mankind win the air than we wanted to go beyond it, outside the earth. And now I've found a way to explore space. And I have the backing of the World Academy. It may not work, my space projectile, but somehow I think it will. True, once I get out into space, I shall probably never return, but did Magellan return, or Amelia Earhart? Did Scott come back from the South Pole? No, I shall probably become a second moon revolving around the Earth. And after 1 million years or so, my orbit may slow down and I'll come crashing back home again. And people will say, look at the falling star.
We're speaking to you from Mount Everest Observatory in central Tibet. Here, on the veritable roof of the world, the great Soviet scientist, Dr. Pyotr Naturbov, is about to launch a man-carrying projectile beyond the atmosphere of the Earth. In 2 preliminary tests last week, Dr. Naturbov's cordite propulsion compound exploded test projectiles successfully into outer space. Now, for the first time, a so-called spaceship will leave the Earth carrying a human passenger. Our microphone is set up on the rim of the rifled underground tube, bored 3/4 of a mile down in the solid rock of the Himalayas. Deep in this pit is a huge teardrop of magnesium, lighter than aluminum, which could be driven upwards as a shell out of a cannon's mouth at a speed greater than 1,000 miles an hour. Oh, just a moment. There is Dr. Naturbov, getting ready to descend the elevator to take his place in the sealed cockpit of his projectile. Dr. Naturbov.
What?
Doctor, may we please ask you just a few questions, sir?
Well, of course, but naturally I must hurry. The instant of the launching has been very delicately timed.
You expect to reach the moon, Doctor?
I hope so, yes.
What do you think of your chances, sir?
Well, about 1 in 100,000. You see, the slightest wind pressure or change in barometric reading as my projectile leaves the Earth's atmosphere will magnify itself into an error of thousands of miles after a few hours.
Tell me, Doctor, how much oxygen are you taking with you?
Enough to keep me alive for 10 days. Just enough to reach the moon, if I'm lucky.
Well, how about your trip back?
I'm afraid I'm on a one-way ticket.
Won't you be able to turn around, sir?
Well, what good is a rudder without air? You can't push against ether, son.
I see. How about the shock when the projectile goes up?
Oh, well, I won't know what's happening. I'll be unconscious. You see, Dr. Donaldson will strap me tightly to the bulkhead so that the inertia of my body won't crush me. And then he'll administer an anesthetic so that for the first 45 minutes or so of my trip, I'll just be taking a nap. When I wake up, I'll snap on my radio and I'll give you then a meteor's eye view of what's going on out where they cook up the cosmic rays.
Gosh, are you frightened, Doctor?
No, but I must admit that at the moment my pulse is a little fast.
Doctor, before you go, we've cleared a radio channel through to Stalingrad.
Oh.
Mrs. Naturbov is waiting at the observatory there to talk to you.
Very considerate of you.
Thank you, sir. Into this transmitter right here.
Thank you. Hello, Ilona.
Hello, Piotr.
I didn't think we'd have a chance to talk again.
Darling, please be careful.
Yes, I'll be careful, my dear. Ilona, I've written you a letter. It's a long letter. It explains many things. The most important thing won't be news to you, my dear. Just that I love you, my Ilona.
Oh, Bill.
I must go down now. I have only 11 minutes more.
God watch over you, Bill.
15 seconds now. Dr. Donaldson and his party have just come up the elevator. They've checked the clocks with Greenwich to 1,000th of a second accuracy. It's 10 seconds now. It's odd that although Dr. Necherbov is headed for the moon, it hasn't even risen yet. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2... What's a firecracker? Ladies and gentlemen, for a split second we saw a silver shadow flash across the horizon, and then it was gone. The smoke is washing down the mountain. Our ears are pounding. As a matter of fact, my nose is bleeding from the concussion.
Just a minute, Harry.
Yes, what is it?
Hold the spiel. Nobody's listening to you. That explosion just blasted the whole network off the air.
How long now?
53 minutes. 53 minutes and 10 seconds.
Can't you find him in the telescope?
Every observatory in the world is looking for him. If he got out of the atmosphere, he's 1,000 miles away by now. It's a long way to look for something 18 feet in diameter. Hello? Stalingrad Observatory.
Not Palomar calling. Think we've picked up your projectile on our 200 inch.
Yelena, they found him.
Oh, thank God.
That's great, Palomar. What's the reading?
Right ascension, 6 hours, 14 minutes, 32 seconds. Declination, 47 degrees, 16 minutes, 40 seconds.
Check. We're waiting for his radio contact. Keep in touch, California. Don't let him out of your sights.
Right.
What's the time now?
54.5 minutes.
Well, why doesn't he radio? Are you certain you're on the right frequency?
All 5 bands. The crystal checked. When he talks, we'll hear him.
It's 55. Why doesn't he talk?
Maybe he hasn't come to yet. It's an awful shock, Yelena, from standstill to 1,000 miles an hour in one instant. The human heart is a delicate thing.
My poor Piotr. What was that?
Carrier wave. He must have turned on his transmitter.
He's alive! My Piotr's alive!
Stalingrad Observatory. Pyotr Necherbov calling.
Quick, go on, answer him.
Stalingrad Observatory standing by. Go ahead, Dr. Necherbov.
Come in, Stalingrad. Do you hear me, Stalingrad?
We're standing by, Doctor. Go ahead.
Answer, Stalingrad. Answer if you hear me. Answer any radio station on Earth if you hear my signal.
He can't hear
Answer,
us.
Stalingrad.
We'll give it another try.
Answer if you hear me.
Hello, Piotr.
This is
Hello.
Pyotr Necherbov
We can hear
calling.
you. Keep talking. We're taking down everything you say.
Answer if you can hear me. I'm getting no answer.
That's no use. Our radio waves can't reach him.
Why not? We can hear him.
Something we've suspected all along. We know now. We can get radio signals in from outside, but ours bounce right back on the Earth again.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to keep on talking.
Keep on talking, Piotr. Keep on talking.
I'm still a little dizzy and weak. Anesthetic wearing off. Both my wrists are sprained. Must use fiber straps next time instead of rough web belting.
Got it.
The sky is pitch black. Although I can see the sun clearly. Too clearly. Must use darker ultraviolet filters in glass of the next projectile. The sun is burning my skin very badly.
Oh, my darling.
Stars are incredibly bright. No twinkle. Can see 10th magnitude with the naked eye.
What will we be able to see with a telescope?
Earth looms enormous. Covers nearly 1/3 of the sky. Terrestrial terminator crossing the Alps. Shadows are beautiful.
I wish I could be there.
Strange sensation hanging in space. No sense of movement or of direction. You've lost all feeling of up or down. Silence is terrifying.
Why doesn't he get out his
The
instrument?
hull of the projectile strained in launching. The slow air leak astern. I'm using my oxygen rapidly.
That's bad.
Never make the move. Temperature's falling. 9 below 0 centigrade. Next projectile must be darker to absorb more heat.
Check.
I'm adjusting the telescope. The funny thing just happened. I dropped my pencil. Only it didn't drop. It just floated in the air. Gravity approaching nil at this point.
That's odd. His gravity pull should still be strong.
Have discovered two new moons around Jupiter. Please name one, Eleanor.
Oh, Bill.
Observe the faint planetary disk beyond Pluto. Now, that may be a comet or maybe the 10th planet.
Who cares about the solar system? Look out where it's deep.
Difficult to realize the amazing visibility without air. Sergei, I'm now conducting your experiment, the one we talked about.
Good.
The telescope adjustment is very difficult. So cold here. Very
Can't you
cramped.
turn the speaker up louder?
It's wide open. He's getting out of range.
I have the telescope
Hurry.
sighted exactly 180 degrees away from the sun. I'm looking for a star about 40th magnitude, showing a characteristic G-type spectrum.
Good.
I found one. Yes, I have. I'm going to check it now with my spectroscope. It's so faint I don't know whether I'll be able to identify the absorption lines.
If it'll only match.
This can't be a coincidence. The spectral match, line for line. That faint star out there is the sun, our sun. It's shining all the way around the universe.
I don't understand.
Oh, that proves it, don't you see? Einstein was right. Eddington was right. Space is curved. The universe is round.
Just say it.
I can prove the third.
Piotr, keep on going. Don't fade out now.
H and K calcium lines. Doppler effect. Eleanor.
No, don't turn it off.
It's no use.
Is there any hope?
No hope.
Oh.
Galileo, Newton, Magellan. Move over, gentlemen. Make room for Piotr Natyrbov.
Gentlemen of the World Academy, I wish to thank you for the high honor which you have bestowed upon my husband, the late Dr. Piotr Natyrbov. As men of ancient days traveled on unknown seas to prove that the world was round, so has Dr. Natyrbov, the first voyager into space, proved that the universe is round. For his telescope, riding in space and unhampered by even so much as a thin veil of air, has looked completely around the universe. I know what his thoughts were in the last hours as he hung between the earth and the moon. For I was with him, really. And this letter, the last he wrote, speaks those thoughts far better than I could say them. My darling Ilona, tomorrow is the great adventure. We both know the dangers and the odds. Yet I feel a great calm tonight. For I know that this is the one day toward which my whole life has been bent. You and I, and all of us, have lived through bitter and terrible years. But we never doubted that this was a world worth fighting for. What emerged was good. The chance for all of us to explore. Go and tell this to the children of the earth. The Milky Way is their front lawn. The pole star is a lamppost out of their back window. Oh, yes, there's more than a world to fight for now. There's a universe.
We have just explored the far reaches of the future on this planet and beyond it. This has been the special Globe Theater tour of the future, streamlined and fitted with all the most modern attachments. We hope you've enjoyed it. Our thanks to all the performers in tonight's play, Hans Conried, Lon McAllister, Lorene Tuttle, and to Claude Sweeten, who conducted the orchestra. If you happen to disagree with any of the preceding predictions about what we may expect from science in decades to come, please don't tell me about it. Just argue it out among yourselves. I shall be having enough trouble backing the auto-gyro out of the garage. However, if you would like more stories along this line on future Globe Theaters, drop us a line and tell us so. The address is Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Listen for our next performance if you can. And remember that until then, this is Herbert Marshall wishing you the best of all good things. And I'll be seeing you.
You have been listening to the Globe Theater, produced for servicemen and women of the United Nations and their friends. If you have any requests for stories or stars to be heard on future Globe Theater presentations, merely address your request to Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. And listen again soon when Herbert Marshall will introduce another production from the Globe Theater. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service. Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama for servicemen and women all over the globe. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everybody. And welcome again to your usual seat on the aisle at the Globe Theater. Our story tonight is Princess O'Hara, selected as his best by America's master storyteller, Damon Runyon. Mr. Runyon, noted newspaperman and columnist, is also the creator of a Broadway world all his own. A world where every male being is a guy and every female being is a doll. And a very lively world it is at that. And tonight, we people that world with some of Hollywood's liveliest and best radio actors. Voices you've heard on many of the biggest and finest network shows. Among them are Charlie Cantor, Wally Mayer, Eddie Marr, John Brown, Joe Kearns, Beatrice Benaderet, and as our sweet little Colleen, Princess O'Hara, Lurene Tuttle. Thus our cast of radio's great, impersonating the immortal guys and dolls of Damon Runyon's Princess O'Hara.
This is Nosy McGuire talking, about to give out the true, authentic facts concerning the one and only Princess O'Hara. Now, she is by no means a regular princess. Oh, no. She comes by this moniker by way of her father, Bungo O'Hara, which has for 25 years been driving one of them old-time Victorias along Broadway. You've seen them? 4 wheels and a horse up in front. Now, this O'Hara is always proclaiming in a loud voice how he has the royal blood of Ireland flowing through his veins. And on account of this peculiarity, he has been nicknamed King O'Hara. And his daughter, which I and my friends have not seen since she was a kid, is consequently known as the Princess. Well, a few of us citizens are standing on the sidewalk in front of Mindy's restaurant. There is Last Card Louie and Harry the Horse and Little Oscar, among others. We are discussing a recent event which is preying on our minds.
I don't get it, Louis. How come for a healthy guy like King O'Hara to cash in his chips so all of a sudden?
Well, his ticker just hauled off and quit. Yeah, Oscar. They picked him up in Central Park absolutely dead. I wish to remark that things will not be the same around here for some time to come in the future.
But what's going to happen to his buggy and the horse? What's his name?
Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg. Say, is it true he named it after his best friend, which runs a delicatessen over on 10th Avenue?
As true as I'm Little Oscar. Say, fellas, I just remembered something.
Huh?
Now that the old king is dead, what about them 6 kids?
Which 6 kids?
Is or is not the late King O'Hara the father of 6 children, none of which has no mother?
Oh, yeah. Hey, anybody seen the princess lately?
No, now there is what I call a homely-looking kid. The last time I see her 6, 7, 8 years ago, she is really something terrible to behold.
Well, Louie, you never can tell how them 10-year-old fillies will turn out.
Well, I can guarantee how this one will turn out. She's nothing but a pan full of freckles and buck teeth, some of which is vacant, particularly in front. Also, fellas, she is so skinny that...
What's the matter, Louis?
Do you see what I see?
Well, if it isn't O'Hara's buggy.
And Goldberg the horse. Well, what do you know?
I'm saying it can't be. O'Hara's dead.
Well, what do you know? It's the Princess O'Hara. And boy, is she not something. Hiya, Princess.
Hiya, Princess.
Hiya, Princess.
Well, what do you know?
Well, it develops that when King O'Hara dies, all he leaves in this world is the horse Goldberg and the Victoria. So what does Princess O'Hara do but take up the business where her father leaves off? But that first night, we know from nothing about these things. We are just standing there popping our eyes when all of a sudden there is a funny noise like somebody is swallowing a fish bone. And Last Card Louie falls on his noggin in a dead faint. It is very peculiar.
Hey, everybody, Louie's fainted. Give him air, give him air.
Spread out, everybody, spread out. He's coming, too.
Where am I?
You are flat on your back on the sidewalk in front of Mindy.
Yeah. Would you like maybe a pillow?
No, I'm all right. I'm only weak. What I need is a drive in the park for some air. Give me a hand in the buggy, somebody, please.
Would you like I should go along, Louie?
No, thanks, Harry. No, I'll be all right. Just help me in. Just drive through the park, Princess, and take your time.
Well, there you are. The princess is grown up, and as far as Louis is concerned, it is love at first sight. Following this event, night after night, the princess is driving Louis through the park at $10 per hour, of course. And it turns out to be a very pleasant experience indeed. Because as the princess is driving, she is singing an Irish commodious in a sweet contralto voice, which when she lets it out, the birds in the trees wake up and go tweet, tweet. And last card, Louis is inside the buggy drinking it all in like it was a hot tip on the fifth race at Belmont Park.
Happy, all the world is bright and
Say, Princess.
Yes, sir?
Call me Louis.
Did you wish something, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish you'd climb down off that seat and sit inside here with me.
That is against the law, sir. The driver of a public conveyance.
Okay. Say, how about me climbing up there and sitting with you, huh?
That is against the law, sir. The passenger in a public conveyance must sit...
Okay. Say, look, Princess, what do you say to you and me stopping at some little cafe and maybe picking up a martini or something? How's that, huh?
That is against the law, sir. The driver of a public conveyance is not permitted to indulge while on duty. Municipal Ordinance number 247, section 21, paragraph A. Is there something else you wish, sir?
Yeah. Turn around and leave us go home.
Well, this state of affairs goes on for a while when all of a sudden something terrible happens. The guys are sitting around Mindy's one morning drinking 1, 2, 3 cups of coffee, and there was some speculation.
Now, I ain't making no accusations. Say, Harry, did I make an accusation?
No, they won't, Oscar.
All I'm saying is you are the last one to see the princess, Louis. And if anything happened to her, it is probably you which is responsible. That's all.
Yeah, when was the last time you see her?
3 nights ago, Harry. Oh, she's driving me through the park. She's very beautiful this night. Her eyes is all bright and shiny. And her hair's a wonderful color. Red. Yeah, red. Just like Mano wore that day he came home in front of Sir Barton by 6 lengths. Oh, she's altogether terrific. Louis, did you maybe try something?
She would not come down, and she wouldn't let me come up.
I tell you, it was awful, fellas.
Do you believe him, Oscar?
Why, certainly I believe him. I ain't got no suspicions against nobody. Only if I am right, and he did pull a fast one, I will...
Harry, did you hear about the princess?
What about the princess, Nosey?
She cannot drive the buggy anymore for some time to come in the future.
What's the matter? Is she sick?
Not exactly.
Not exactly, hey? That's what I thought. Come here, Louis. I am about to break you in 2, crossways.
Wait a minute. He didn't have nothing to do with it. It is Goldberg.
What, the horse?
Yeah. He is down with the colic or some such. And the princess and her 5 little brothers and sisters have not got with what to eat.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Gee, that's terrible.
So, hey, I got an idea, fellas.
Huh?
We must take up a collection.
Oh, now what good will that do? The princess will not touch any of our Mazuma. She is not that kind of a girl. Is she, Louis?
Now, lay off, Louis, Oscar. He is very innocent of your unjust suspicions. Not that he hasn't tried, of course.
Look, fellas. Just to show you how innocent I am, I've been thinking of an idea. Now, the princess will not besmirch her pure reputation by taking money from us. Is that not so?
You ought to know, Louis.
Therefore, I am saying, leave us get her another horse.
You mean buy one?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, that's different.
What is your idea, Louis?
Well, leave us borrow one until Goldberg is better.
Now you aren't talking.
Oh, I've thought it all out, fellas. We'll pay a visit to the Belmont Park, which is where they have a racetrack, or so I'm told, and we'll borrow us the first horse we come to.
Would you not say that is stealing, Louis?
Certainly not. There's nothing felonious about borrowing a horse which you intend to return as soon as another horse which has the colic is recovered.
Offhand, I can recall no such statute, either in Blackstone or the Code of Municipal Ordinances.
Furthermore, we will then proceed to lend the horse to Princess O'Hara until Goldberg is on his feet again. Fellas, I think that's very noble of us.
Well, Goldberg, Princess O'Hara's hack horse, is sick. And the guys have decided that while his illness continues, another horse must be provided. Hence, we find little Oscar and Harry the horse in a remote stable at Belmont Park looking for a prospect. It is night.
Hey, Harry, come over here. What do you see? I see a horse. He is asleep. Leave us wake him. But Oscar, supposing he whinnies. Leave him whinny. There is no watchman and no other horse in the stable. Come on, horsey, come on. Get up. There. Now what do we do? How do I know? Do they or do they not call you Harry the horse?
Well, certainly. But it's on account of I bet on him and not on account of I know what to do with him. If only Last Card Louis was here. He used to be a jockey.
Last Card Louis is sick in bed with the cramps.
Have you noticed, Oscar, how every time a larceny is about to be committed, our friend Last Card Louis is sick in bed with the cramps?
Yes, I have noticed it, Harry. See if there's anybody outside.
Yeah. Only nosy. He says it is okay, nobody around. The coast is clear, fellas.
Okay, leave us go.
Say, I never knew it is so easy to steal. Borry a horse in New York City.
I guess maybe they do not think so much of this horse. Huh? That is why they leave him all alone in the stable. All the others is 4, 5, and 6 to a barn.
He don't look like much, and that is a fact. But as long as he can pull Princess O'Hara's hack, then he's good enough for us. As my old mother used to say, barriers cannot be choosers.
The report is there are no clues. Nobody has any idea how it happened. Gallant Godfrey was considered so valuable a piece of horseflesh that he had a whole stable all to himself. He was insured for $150,000. 200 local detectives from the Broadway squad are combing the area. What everybody is wondering today is, where can a man hide a horse in New York City?
Well, Harry the horse and little Oscar and me take this Gallant Godfrey over to a little shack on 11th Avenue and leave him there alongside old Goldboy who was groaning and carrying on in a most distressing manner. The next night, there is Princess O'Hara back at the old stand in front of Mindy's with Gallant Godfrey, who turns out to be a nice, tame old dromedary hitched up to a Victoria. All the princess understands is it is a borrowed animal which is to be returned when Goldboy gets over his colic. At Mindy's, Last Card Louis arrived somewhat late and very pleased with himself.
Oh, well, Louis, where are you rushing to?
Well, you'll have to excuse me, fellas. I gotta go for a ride with the princess and her new horse. Hey, princess!
I beg your pardon, sir, but I have engaged this Victoria.
Yeah? You and who else?
Well, my friend Pierre and I have engaged it. Hop in, Pierre, hop in.
Hey, princess, who are these characters?
Louis, this is none other than Ambrose Hammer, the famous newspaper and radio columnist. Where do you gentlemen wish to go?
What do you say to a drive through the park, Pierre?
Oh, oui. I would like it very much. Especially if I could sit up there with the charming driver.
Ha-ha! I see you don't know this doll. You're wasting your time, sucker.
I doubt it, old boy. Certainly not without an introduction. Princess O'Hara, this is Lieutenant Pierre Armand. Lieutenant Armand, Princess O'Hara.
I am most honored to meet the princess.
How do you do? Mr. Hammer!
Oh, hello, Miss Tuesday. How is my secretary this evening?
Mr. Hammer, I have just been tipped off that Lawrence Templeton, who is your big opposition this time, is going to say in his column tomorrow that Babette Michaeljohn, the spaghetti heiress, is about to be blessed with a blessed event sometime next October.
That's impossible, or I would have known about it.
But what if it's true in your school?
Oh, perish the thought. Miss Tuesday, I will go at once to the home of Babette Michaeljohn myself and nail this baseless canard. Are you coming, Pierre?
No, I do not think so, Ambrose. I have a headache. Perhaps it is better that I go for a drive. Mademoiselle, through the park, if you please, and very slow.
From this moment on begins one of the greatest romances ever heard of on Broadway. One night, the princess and this Pierre is driving along Central Park West with Gallant Godfrey, the wonder racehorse, taking his time up in front, and Ambrose Hammer and Miss Tuesday in the back seat. And the princess and Pierre is billing and cooing as usual.
Do you love me, chérie?
Oh, Pierre.
Call me mon cher. Go on, say it.
Oh, I can't. They'll hear me.
Go on, Princess.
Yeah, say it. All right. Mon chair.
Oh, that is very good. You know, darling, it is the custom in my country to be communicated the first name of one's affianced bride. You have one, I trust?
Oh, Pierre. It is...
Wait, go on.
Yes, tell him, Princess.
It is Maggie.
Maggie. Oh, but that is beautiful.
Oh, Pierre.
Oh, Maggie.
Princess O'Hara, would you mind turning here into the park? Miss Tuesday and I have an appointment over near Fifth Avenue.
Certainly, I would be glad to, Mr. Hammer. Get up.
But this is like a tunnel without any roof, with these stone walls on both sides, n'est-ce pas?
Yes, all the way to Fifth Avenue. Oh! Stop! Whoa! What is it?
Yes, what is it, Tuesday? We don't have time.
But, Mr. Hammer, it's a scoop.
A scoop so late at night?
Oh, nonsense, Miss Tuesday. It's just your imagination.
But look at that truck that turned behind us. It stopped, and it's a cigarette truck. Have you thought of guy? No, it's hijackers, I'm sure. It was stopped by that little car, don't you see? Where's my notebook?
Miss Tuesday, you may have something. There are men getting out of that car. Listen.
Hey, you in the truck. Get down.
For who?
For a citizen of the name of Fatso Rourke, that is for who?
Is he getting down?
Fatso Rourke, where is he? I can't see in the dark. Are you Fatso Rourke?
I am. I'm looking for a guy in a cigarette truck named Sammy to flee.
You are sure you're Fatso Rourke?
Sure, I'm sure.
Then take that, you rat. I am Sammy the Flea.
Oh, he shot him. A scoop.
I think we'd better drive on, Princess.
I think so also, Mr. Hammer.
Hey, you in the sea-going hack. Where do you think you're going?
Way, just across the park.
Oh, yeah? And did you hear something just now?
Well, I thought I heard your truck backfiring several times. That's all.
Nonsense. We heard shots, and we are going to report it to the gendarme immediately.
You're going where? Come on, climb down out of there.
He'll do no such thing. Get up.
Why, I'll follow you and I'll smash you to a post.
He is. He's following us. Turn off, Princess. I can't. There's no place to turn before Fifth Avenue.
Voila, then the commandees forward.
What chance is a horse against a truck?
Oh, get up.
Oh, Dieu. It all has wings. Look, we're flying.
Help. Mr. Hammer, he's running away.
Oh, no. Have no fear, Miss Tuesday. Ma chérie Maggie is, as you say, no jump.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's gaining. He's gaining. He's trying to smash us into the wall. Oh, no, he isn't. Get up. Oh, he's crashed into the wall. Whoa. Oh, it's horrible. Look back. The truck is all smeared. That's good. I hope Sammy the Flea is awful dead. Oh, Pierre.
Oh, Maggie, you were wonderful.
Well, this is me again, Nosy. The story about how a broken-down animal outruns a cigarette truck is a 9-day wonder along Broadway, particularly for those which do not know who this particular animal is. Not only that, but the princess and this Pierre has got their pictures in the papers and is being offered all kinds of radio and moon picture contracts. They are also the toast of the town, on account of they are the noble instrument by which Sammy the Flea has smashed himself into a pulp. The cops in particular is very grateful indeed. Well, it is maybe a month later that I run into the boys again on the sidewalk in front of Mindy's. Well, hiya, gents. What makes?
Hiya, Nosy. Hey, did you hear about the princess? She is going on a honeymoon.
And what is so curious about that?
Oh, she and the Frenchie is going to Niagara Falls and Sun Valley and a place called Yosemite.
Huh?
Isn't that something?
Oh, it is, Harry. Likewise, it calls for a great deal of moolah. Hey, that Frenchie must be overripe with cabbages.
The moolah is a wedding present from last God Louis.
Well, that's the...
Huh? Tell him about it, Oscar.
Well, Nosy, it's like this. Last night, last card Louis comes around, hands me a G-note saying to me as follows, Oscar, here is 1,000 smackers. Buy me Princess O'Hara's horse.
You mean you sold a love gallant Godfrey for one single solitary G?
Ah, now do not rush me, Nosy. Now, what Louis is thinking of is no doubt gallant Godfrey the super horse. But what he forgets is that she has only borrowed that animal. Definitely, it is not hers.
Oh.
So I give him a bill of sale for, quote, Princess O'Hara's horse, unquote. and turn over the moolah to the princess for her honeymoon.
But wait a minute, Oscar. If it wasn't Gallant Godfrey, will you kindly tell me which horse it is you sold last card, Louis, for 1,000 heads of cabbage?
Why, the only horse she ever really owned, of course. Goldberg.
And there you have Damon Runyon's story, Princess O'Hara. Our cast was composed entirely of Hollywood's best radio actors, including Charlie Cantor as Nosy McGuire, Wally Mayer as Last Card Louis, Eddie Marr as Little Oscar, John Brown as Harry the Horse, Joe Kearns as Pierre, Beatrice Benedorette as Miss Tuesday, and Lurene Tuttle as Princess O'Hara. Thanks very much to you all. This play was another from the series This Is My Best. We've been receiving quite a few letters from all over the world asking to hear certain stars and plays. We appreciate these very much, fellas, and hope that now and then you find your requests answered in our Globe Theatre presentations. We'd like to say thanks in particular to Frank Jorgensen, Radio Man Third Class, and his pals at FPO San Francisco, and to T5 Henry W. Davis, APO 980. We enjoy your letters and can always be reached at the Globe Theatre, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Now on the bill for next time is an adaptation of Charlotte Bronte's moving story, Jane Eyre. In the roles of Mr. Rochester and Jane Eyre will be Victor Jory and Gertrude Warner. For a few minutes now, let's look in at Thornfield Hall.
You've been very naughty these last few weeks with your laughter. What must Miss Eyre think?
Fire in the sky. Fire.
I'll tell you what she thinks. See it in her eyes whenever she looks at me. Your husband has blamed your stupid laughter on me. And she wonders what diversions I find here in the West Wing to make me so wildly happy. Look at them, riding on the moors. Don't they make a handsome couple up there on Gateshead Crag?
Do you come here often?
As often as I need to.
What do you mean?
I mean when my soul is oppressed and there seems no end to the darkness in which I live.
The moor is beautiful.
No, it's barren and savage. And only the meanest flowers can survive here. Heather that claws into the earth and resists wind and storm. If there's beauty in it, it's the majesty of its unconquerable spirit. And to know it, you must stand here when the wind and rain are like a whip lashing the breath out of your throat. In a moment like that, you can almost believe that a man's spirit can find the same strength and defiance to crush down pettiness and deceit and even madness. Well, we might sit down, Miss Eyre.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You know, I've observed your almost saintly patience with my ward. Adele loves being spoiled. She's a mother's daughter. Now that when she was a high-spirited woman, Lily, a French beauty who charmed English gold out of my English breeches.
Are you sure you want me to hear this?
Adele is her child. Another sin for me to account for. Aren't you shocked?
No.
You see that beech tree just below the west wing?
Yes.
With its gnarled limbs. I've often fancied it one of the hags who appeared to Macbeth on the heath of Forres. I fancied her saying, "You like Thornfield?" And then with a bony finger, she'd write in the air in lurid hieroglyphics that run the entire length of the west wing, "Like it if you can. Like it if you dare." You know what I found myself saying?
No.
I shouted back, "I will like it. I dare like it." And I'll keep my word. I'll overcome every evil that stands in the way.
Mr. Rochester, it's raining.
All right, we'll go back. You'll know what it means to ride in the teeth of a storm. And before you know it, we shall be back to the quiet refuge and cheerful hearth of Thornfield Hall.
Mr. Rochester,
Wake up! Wake up!
Yeah? What's that?
The curtains are on fire.
Jane, what is it?
Help me, sir.
Stay away from those curtains, Jane. Hand me the water jug.
Yes, sir.
Now, tear them down.
Here. Oh, be careful.
Never mind about me. Open the window. This confounded smoke is terrible. Close the door. There's no use alarming the household. I must have fallen asleep in my chair. How did this happen?
I don't know. Adele woke me up. I heard someone laughing. The same awful laughter.
Good Lord.
I rushed out into the corridor. Your door was open and I saw the flames.
Yes? What else did you see?
Something brushed against me in the darkness.
Something brushed. It must have been Grace Poole. Listen to me, Jane. You must say nothing of this to anyone.
Just who is Grace Poole?
She is... How many times do I have to tell you she's my housekeeper?
Won't you tell me what's wrong? Let me help you if I can.
No one can help me. No, Jane. Don't go.
I must. It's cold in here.
Then come closer. You're trembling.
I don't feel I should stay in this house any longer.
But you must. You can't go away.
I don't want to. I've come to love it here, and I've been happy, but can't you tell me...
I can't tell you anything. Someday, perhaps, I'll be free to make you understand. But promise now you'll stay. Will you, Jane? Will you?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Oh, bless you, Jane. Bless you.
A vivid and dramatic story, Jane Eyre, featuring Victor Jory and Gertrude Warner. Our next attraction at the Globe Theatre. This is Herbert Marshall saying goodbye for now, and I'll be seeing you.
You have been listening to the Globe Theater with Herbert Marshall as host and master of ceremonies. The Globe Theater is presented for servicemen and women of the Allied Armed Forces all over the globe. Listen for our next Globe Theater production soon. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service. Here's your pass to the Globe Theater.
This is the Globe Theater, the radio playhouse especially for men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Just as the Globe Theater has meant the best in entertainment since the days of Shakespeare, today it means the best in radio drama. Here to tell you about tonight's play is your host at the Globe Theater, Herbert Marshall.
Hello, everybody. With peace again in Europe and the sum total of the devastation counted up, it's comforting to pause and reflect on the few moments of high courage and lyrical beauty that helped us through the grueling years. One of these has been recorded in Paul Gallico's timeless and hauntingly lovely story of the Snow Goose. We have a fine cast this evening, and I should like to single out one member of it for special notice. She's the lovely young actress who gives such a notable performance with Betty Davis in the picture The Corn is Green. I refer, of course, to Miss Joan Loring.
And so, with Herbert Marshall and Joan Loring as our stars, here is Paul Gallico's touching story of the Snow Goose.
They tell of the Snow Goose, all that know of her. But what they tell is only a little of the story. It is not a story that falls easily and smoothly into sequence. And some of it comes in the form of fragments from men who looked upon strange and violent scenes.
There you are, lads. Ale and bitters.
A goose, a blooming goose, so help me.
John, I don't believe it.
A goose it was. Jockey has seen it same as me.
They were men of all kinds, and from every station.
You were at Dunkirk. Did you run across that queer sort of legend about a wild goose?
A wild goose? No, but I saw a tame one. Odd that you should mention a goose. I suppose some people might say it was a legend.
Legend? No, gentlemen, it wasn't a legend. Have you ever seen a snow goose? Have you ever looked up into the deepest blue of the heavens and seen suddenly a black speck coming toward you? A speck that in the space of seconds is transformed into a rush of white wings, black-tipped. A thrust-forward head. A strong, graceful body like a great white sail in full flight. I have seen that, gentlemen. I have known a snow goose well. My name is Philip Ryder. By my own choice, I left the world of human society in the late spring of 1930. There were reasons for this choice of mine. Among them, the strange, misshapen body which God had given me. For I must have been a frightening apparition indeed. I had bought an old abandoned lighthouse at the mouth of the Elder, and the acres of marshland and salting which surrounded it. I wanted only to be left to my painting and to have as little contact with the world as possible. I was drawn to my lighthouse not only because of its isolation, but because of the hundreds of species of birds which migrated there every spring. One November afternoon, 3 years after I had come to the great marsh, I stood in my enclosure feeding the birds. I looked along the seawall and saw a child, a little girl. She was no more than 12, slender, nervous, timid as a bird, beautiful as a marsh fairy. She was pure Saxon, fair, deep-set, violet-colored eyes, and desperately afraid. What is it, child?
I thought I was...
Come, child, don't be frightened. I won't hurt you. Come closer. What have you there?
I found it, sir. It's a bird. It's hurting. Is it still alive?
Yes. Yes, I think so. Come in, child, come in. Let's see what's the matter with it. Just hold it here for me on this table. Please don't be frightened.
I found it in the marsh, sir, where hunters have been. Whatever kind of bird is it, sir?
It's a snow goose from Canada. But how in heaven came it here?
You can heal it, sir, can't you?
Yes, I hope so. Anyway, we'll try. Oh, don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. But I've never seen a bird like her before.
No, nor have I in any parts of the country close to here. She came to us from a very great distance.
Where from?
She was born in a northern land far across the seas. Every winter she flew to the south to escape the snow and ice and bitter cold. This year, a great storm must have seized her and whirled and buffeted her about. When finally it had blown itself out, she dropped to rest in a friendly green marsh, only to be met by the blast from the hunter's gun.
Oh.
Yes, a bitter reception for a visiting princess. But it's not as bad as it might have been. In a few days, she'll be feeling much better. You and I will call her the princess. The lost princess. Do you like that?
Oh, yes.
Now watch. See if she won't eat something. Here is some grain. Put it in the palm of your hand and hold it out to her.
Look, she's eating it. Her eyes are open. Oh, Goodbye.
No, wait.
Yes, sir?
What is your name, child?
Frith.
Where do you live, Frith?
With the fisher folk at Wickledrop.
Will you come back tomorrow or the next day to see how the princess is getting along?
Yes, sir. Yes, I will. Goodbye, sir.
In spite of her instinctive fear of that strange, misshapen figure which is myself, Frith came back often to see the princess, and as her devotion to the bird grew, her fear of me disappeared completely. One June morning, a group of late geese answered the siren song of the breeding grounds and rose lazily into the sky in ever-widening circles. With them, her white body and black-tipped pinions shining in the spring sun, was the snow goose.
Look, the princess. Is she going away?
Yes, the princess is going home. Look, Frith, she's bidding us farewell.
Well, I think I'd best be going home, too. Goodbye, sir.
No need for you to hurry, child. Sit and talk a bit.
No, sir. Thank you very much. But I think I'd best be going home.
Goodbye, Frith. I learned all over again the meaning of the word loneliness. That summer, from memory, I painted a picture of a slender child, her fair hair blown by a November storm, who bore in her arms a wounded white bird. That winter started the parade of years, the happiest I've ever known. Time was marked by the height of the tides, the passage of the birds, and for Frith and me by the arrival and departure each year of the snow goose. Finally, one spring, when Frith returned, I realized with a shock that she was a child no longer. She had grown tall, slender, and hauntingly beautiful. As I looked at her, I felt the deep surge of my longing, my loneliness, and all the unspoken things that lay between us. We stood together in that spring of 1940, watching our birds migrating, even that early, from the great marsh. The world was on fire that spring. The whine and roar of the bombers and the thudding explosions had frightened the birds. The first day of May, we watched the last of them rise from their sanctuary.
Look, Philip. The princess. She's going with them.
The call is strong, Frith. Almost impossible to resist. But somehow she doesn't seem as sure as usual. See how she is circling close to us.
I wish she'd stay. You wouldn't be so alone if she were always here.
The call is strong, Frith. For both you and the princess. When she flies away, I lose both of you.
I mustn't stay. I have to go.
Look up, Frith.
The princess. Oh, Philip, she's not going. She's circling nearer and nearer. She's coming back. The princess is going to come back.
Yes, she is coming back. And this time to stay. Always. The lost princess is lost no more. This is her home now. Of her own free will.
Of her own free will. Of her own free will.
Yes, my dearest. Of her own free will. Don't go, Frith. We need you. The princess and I.
After a brief musical interlude, Herbert Marshall and Joan Loring will return in the second half of The Snow Goose. with our stars Herbert Marshall and Joan Loring, here is the second act of The Snow Goose.
In the years that followed, I learned about Philip Ryder. I will never forget the first day I walked along the sea wall with the bleeding snow goose in my arms and stopped frightened at the sight of the dark figure that appeared at the door. I saw a man, a hunchback, with his left arm crippled. At first I had been afraid of him, but when he spoke, his voice was deep and gentle, and my fears vanished when I found that he loved very greatly man and all nature. It was some years later when Philip and I sailed back to the lighthouse after getting supplies in town. It was amazing to watch him handle his fast 16-foot sailing boat with his strong right hand on the tiller and in a brisk wind the rope clenched between his teeth. As we disembarked, I noticed that Philip was strangely quiet. What is it, Philip?
It's nothing, child.
It's the war, isn't it? It's that you feel you cannot do anything, that you cannot serve with your fellow men fighting for a land that you love deeply, isn't that it?
There are some things Providence never intended me to do.
That Providence which has handicapped you will show you what to do. If it doesn't, there is no God.
Never say that, Frith. If there were no God, there would not be anywhere the beauty that is all around us now.
I was very young, but an age-old instinct told me that here was a man whose heart was breaking because he could not serve in an angry world. I left him sadly, and it was more than 3 weeks before I returned to give him the news that was on every tongue of a British army trapped on the sands of Dunkirk 100 miles across the sea. A British army huddled helplessly and waiting certain destruction. I could see the light of Philip's lantern down by his little dock, and as I approached, I saw that he was loading supplies into his sailboat. Water and food, bottles of brandy and a spare sail. He was pale, but his dark eyes were glowing with excitement. I knew at once that he had heard the call for help, and that here at last was something he could do.
Hello, Frith.
Philip, are you going away?
Frith, I am glad you came. Yes, I must go away. I must go away now. It's only a little trip. I'll come back.
Where must you go?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk? In such a small boat?
Yes, I know. But our government has called every man who owns any kind of craft that floats to head across this sea and haul the men off the beaches.
But, Philip, you can't carry more than 6 men, and for 100 miles each way, it's impossible.
They don't need to be taken far. Only to the transports and destroyers that can't reach the shallows. I can make many trips of that distance with 6 or 7 men at a time.
Philip, I know how much you want to go, but I'm so afraid. In that little boat, you'll never come back, Philip. You'll never come back. Please don't go.
Frith, listen to me. Men are huddled on the beaches like hunted birds. Over them fly the steel peregrines, hawks and falcons, made of steel, Frith, and each one brimful of destruction. Our men have no shelter from these iron birds of prey. They are lost and storm-driven and harried, like the lost princess you found and brought out of the marshes many years ago. They need help, my dear, just as our wild creatures have needed help. Don't you see, Frith, it's as you've said. Providence has shown me the way to serve.
I stared at Philip. I could not believe the change in him. For the first time, he was no longer ugly or misshapen, but very beautiful. I will come with you, Philip.
No, Frith. Your place in the boat would cause a soldier to be left behind, and another, and another. No, I must go alone. Will you look after the birds until I return?
Godspeed you. I will take care of the birds. Godspeed, Philip.
Goodbye, Frith. God bless you. Goodbye.
I stood on the sea wall and watched the sail gliding down the swollen estuary. Suddenly, from the darkness behind me, there came a rush of wings, and something swept past me in the air. In the night light, I saw the thrust forward head of the Snow Goose. flashing down the winding creek where Philip's sail was slanting in the gaining breeze, to fly above him in slow, wide circles. Watch over him. Watch over him.
I tell you, it was a goose. Jock here seed it same as me. God, I don't believe it.
God's truth. I'd never be sitting here drinking this ale if it wasn't for that bird and him that was with it.
Him?
Who? Tell him what happened, Alf.
Well, it come flying down out of the muck and stink and smoke of Dunkirk that was overhead. It was white, with black on its wings, and it circles us like a bloomin' dive bomber. And while we're looking up at it, round the bend comes as pretty a little sailboat as you ever saw. There he sits in the stern sheets, this hunchback, holding the rope in his teeth, with his good hand on the tiller and the crooked one waving to us to come.
I can take 7 at a time. Come along, you men.
Listen at him there, a bloomin' angel of mercy.
I'll stow your chatter. Get on your feet and let's go. Come on, Andy.
All right, lads. One at a time. Over the side. That's it. What's the matter, lad? Can't you make it?
No. Too tired. I can't get up. Never mind, chum. Go ahead.
I said 7, and it'll be 7. Here. Let me get a hold of that tunic. In you come, lad. That's better.
Hey, that's a strong arm, mate. Thanks.
That goose looks like the angel of death herself. What's she doing here?
Oh, that's the princess. She lives with me.
She sticks to you like you'd known her a lifetime.
I very nearly have. She was lost once. She knows how it feels.
Well, he brought us out all right, and then we watched him make trips all afternoon and all night, too. He was still going when we left, and the bird was with him as he waved us goodbye. A good man he was, that chap.
That's a good yarn, mate. I can tell you the end of it.
Yes? What happened?
Well, I was in that show. Our tugboat was on its 3rd trip back, loaded down with soldiers, when our skipper sees a boat adrift off the starboard bow. We goes off course to have a look, and we finds this here goose sitting on the gunwale, guarding a man's dead body in the bottom of the boat.
Struth.
A hunchback he was. Just then, there's a shout from the bridge, and not 30 feet off the port beam is floating the biggest, juiciest mine you ever looked at. If we'd kept on our course, we'd have piled right into it. Well, we blew up the mine with rifle fire, and when we looked back, the little boat was gone. The explosion knocked her off, and the chap with her. But that bird, well, it got up, circled 3 times like a plane, saluting, and took off. Queer it was. Give us all a turn. Lucky thing for us, we went over to have a look, eh?
Yes, lads. It was lucky you saw her. But that wasn't just a goose. That was the snow goose. Flying straight to the lighthouse. To Frith standing on the seawall waiting. Waiting. Waiting.
Yes, waiting. But I knew that he was never coming back. I had stayed and roamed alone on the great marsh. I'd found the picture that Philip had painted of me when I was still a child, with an injured bird in my arms. Through the canvas I could see his love shining like a pure white light. And so that sunset, when I heard the high-pitched, well-remembered note in the heavens, my eyes lifted to the sky, from whose flaming arches plummeted the lost princess. And the sight broke the dam within me and released the surging, overwhelming truth of my love. Wild spirit called to wild spirit, and I seemed to be flying with that great bird, soaring with it in the evening sky, and hearkening to Philip's message.
Frith, my love, my love,
I love you. I love you. Godspeed. Goodbye, Philip. Godspeed.
Remember, Fritz, as the snow goose needed help, so all the world needs help. It was you who gave me faith, until Providence showed me the way to serve. Keep faith forever. Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye.
Thank you. And I'm happy to share that applause with my co-star in tonight's play, the very lovely and very young actress whose name is Joan Laurie. And also with my good friends and countrymen, Eric Snowden, Frederick Warlock, Dennis Green, Ramsay Hill, and Gloria Gordon for their magnificent help. Incidentally, you may be interested to know that tonight's cast recently recorded this splendid story by Paul Gallico. This production of The Snow Goose was another selected from the series This Is My Best. Right now, I should like to acknowledge a pleasant note we recently received from Richard Anderson, sonar man, third class, who had some mighty nice things to say about our Globe Theatre productions. And, too, he sent along a list of plays he and the rest of the fellows at Navy 3149 would like to hear. Some of them we have done already. Probably has heard them by now. The others we'll be on the lookout for, and we'll try to add to our Globe bill of fare just as soon as possible. Now about next time. In response to many requests, we're going to bring you some Western stories. And the first of these will be a radio adaptation of Bret Hart's famous story, Meagles. Our storyteller will be a star whose exploits in hundreds of pictures have made him a symbol of the West. Mr. Harry Carey. Well, I guess that's all for this time, fellas. So this is Herbert Marshall saying good luck, and I'll be seeing you.
You have been attending the Globe Theater with Herbert Marshall as host and master of ceremonies. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. Welcome to the Globe Theater, the radio theater playing exclusively to the men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Here for your entertainment are presented the finest plays selected from outstanding radio dramas. And here to tell you about tonight's play, in the absence of your regular host, Herbert Marshall, is Bill Johnstone.
Hello, everyone. Tonight we have a story of the sea to tell. And since it's rather a long story, let's get to it. Here's Pat O'Brien to tell you what it's about.
This is Pat O'Brien. Your skipper on the sea has a story. Our story tonight is Chapter 1 in the colossal saga that is the United States Navy. That's one yarn that starts off with a bang and has never been dull reading no matter where you open the book. So let's up anchor and set sail for another exciting adventure on the high seas. The astonishing true story of a man who was born for adventure. His name was Stephen Decatur. He was born in the 3rd year of American independence, and our play about him is titled The Commodore Comes Home. Yes, Susan, what is it?
Oh, I thought I heard voices. Is someone with you?
No, I was only talking to Jonathan, darling, ordering up the carriage.
The carriage? Where on earth are you going at this time of day?
Just into Washington, darling. I thought I'd get away without awakening you.
Oh, and so you might have done if Marie hadn't heard you and thought you were burglars. Why on earth are you starting out so early, Stephen? It's not even daylight.
Affairs of state, my dear. I'll go on back to bed like a good girl and don't ask so many questions.
Hadn't you better have some coffee?
Oh, I've already had coffee, gallons of it.
Here, let me tie your scarf. It's frightfully cold out.
Thanks. Kiss me goodbye?
There.
Susan, if
what? What were you going to say?
Nothing. Forget it.
You might have let me know you were going off like this before dawn.
I didn't want you to lose any of your beauty sleep.
Carriage is waiting, Commodore.
Thank you, George. Goodbye, darling.
Stephen.
What is it, ma'am? I thought I heard a carriage in the drive. Here, ma'am. Sit here close to the fire. You're all pale. Something wrong, ma'am, between you and the Commodore?
Oh, it's nothing, I suppose, Marie. After all, it's not the first time he's fought a duel.
Duel? He told you he'd go on this morning to fight a duel?
No, he didn't tell me. But I know. He's gone to Brattenburg.
That where the gentlemen of Washington fight their duels?
Yes, Marie.
Oh, but this is terrible, ma'am. We've got to notify the authorities. We got to put a stop to this duel.
Have you ever noticed how the authorities always manage to arrive on the scene just a little too late to stop these duels, Marie?
Yes, ma'am.
Besides, I wouldn't stop it if I could.
Ma'am.
I know my husband, Marie. Yes, I know Stephen Decatur. More than 20 years now since Stephen fought his first duel. He had just got his first commission as a midshipman and was on recruiting duty in Philadelphia. The affair began in the old Black Hawk Tavern on Front Street. The mate of an India merchantman had been causing trouble, and...
So, the way I look at it, mate, you'd be doing yourself a favor to give this so-called Navy service the buzz off and sign on my ship for some real money. 2 months' pay in advance, no gunboat drill, good food, good treatment, and all that goes with it. What do you say, mate?
That sounds all right to me. I'm signing on with you, mister. Where's that 2 months' pay?
Right here. Sign here, mate, and my purser will hand you the money as soon as you're signed.
Hold it there. Hold it, men.
Out of the way there. Mind your own business.
I am minding my business, friend.
And who might you be?
Decatur's my name, midshipman, United States Navy. How many of our men have you shanghaied like this so far?
None of your business. Sign here, men. Money's waiting for you.
Get back to your ship, men. That's an order.
I've had about enough of your interference, you insolent decanates.
I've had more than enough of yours. What you're doing here is a prison offense.
So, that's your game, calling the law. The French Navy fought your battles in your war for independence, and your law officers are going to settle your gentlemen's quarrels for you. Well, I'm not surprised, sir. I'd heard that was the cowardly Yankee way of doing things.
That's enough of that. My seconds will call on you this evening aboard your ship, sir. We'll settle this with cutlasses or pistols, whatever distance you choose. My only stipulation will be the time of the encounter. for we weigh anchor at dawn, and we will need all our hands.
Ormond. Jackson. Cosgrove. Here. Goodwin. Here. Fairfield. Fairfield. Roberts.
Present, sir.
Well, men, I'm pleased to find my crew all on board sober at the appointed time. I was told that some of you had been lured away to a merchantman. I'm glad you put your duty to your country above their promises of big pay. That's all. To your duties, then. Man the capstan.
Jump to it, men. Heave there. Heave and bring it to.
Come into the house, Mr. Decatur.
Aye, sir.
Decatur, I don't know how you managed it, but you did a superb job on shore. We generally lose half our crew when we put into Philadelphia.
I'm glad you approve, sir.
They told me that Indian man was signing him up right and left. How did you ever persuade him to leave off?
I killed him.
How's that?
We fought a duel, and I killed him.
Well, officially, I can't condone such methods, Decatur. But under the circumstances, I must say you've done a good job.
That was 20 years ago. I hadn't met Stephen Decatur yet, nor was I to meet him for some years to come. Of the many duels he fought with sword and pistol, I did not learn until after we were married. But the greatest of all his duels was known by me and by all the world before the full meaning of it was apprehended, either by us or by the principals. Like so many great events, it had its beginnings far away from the scene of action. I chanced to attend a session of the Congress in the company of my aunt. John Randolph of Roanoke had the floor and was placing a bill before the members.
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield?
Gladly, Mr. Harper, gladly.
Mr. Speaker, this measure calls for the payment of a total of $100,000 in tribute to the Barbary states of Tunis, Algiers, and Tripoli. In return for this, these pirates will assure us protection for our merchant ships in the Mediterranean. In other words, they will refrain from boarding our vessels, plundering our cargoes, holding our seamen in slavery for payment of ransom. I say that this money would be better spent on a navy strong enough to rid the seas of these pirates.
Does my honorable colleague feel that we are rich enough to surpass the naval power of Great Britain, which is the greatest sea power the world has ever known, but which still is obliged to pay tribute to the Barbary corsairs?
I say that we're rich enough to do what is necessary to secure for ourselves the freedom of the seas. Millions for defense, but not 1 cent for tribute.
February 3rd, 1804. USS Intrepid and a Siren set sail for Tripoli. A square-rigged ketch and a brig. Their job, the destruction of the Philadelphia. A pirated ship cradled in the pirate waters of Tripoli. Tripoli, a fortress of 115 heavy guns. Tripoli, a stronghold supported by thousands of pieces of small ordnance. Tripoli, a fortress garrisoned by 25,000 soldiers. Tripoli, defended by 3 cruisers, 2 large galleys, and 19 gunboats.
Against all this, we have one small 50-ton bomb ketch filled with combustibles and manned by 84 men armed with cutlasses. Now then, that looks pretty bad for us, doesn't it? But that's the best thing about it. They won't expect trouble from such a small and weak outfit. By the time they catch on to what we're there for, we should be finished with our job and on our way out of the harbor. Now, a few of the officers will be gotten up in Arab dress. And please, no levity when you see us. Mr. Catalano, our marine pilot, will do the talking. He knows the lingo. The rest of us will stay shut up, and the crew will lie low on the deck. I don't want a sound out of you. I want you to breathe, understand? All right, that's the story. Lie low and pray. Don't talk. Keep your ears open, because even your orders will be given in whispers from now on in. February 16th. This night, sighted the fortress of Tripoli and hove to outside the harbor to await the coming of the night watch in the fortress. The sea was glassy calm with a light breeze from northeast. The tide running a strong current into the harbor, we furled all our sail and swept up the passage undetected. Not a word was spoken, all orders being given by prearranged signals. The crew hugged the deck in the shadows of the bulwarks, invisible even to the officers, who moved about freely, dressed in the costumes of Arab merchantmen, but not daring to utter a word for fear of betraying our nationality. 5 bells, we bore down on the Philadelphia, and the silence of the harbor was suddenly broken. Our timing was perfect. From across the silent water, we could hear the bugles in the fortress calling the night watch. And now from the ships, anchored all about us, a clangor of bells rose as their bells tolled off the hour.
Shall I put her alongside now, sir?
Yes, now. Why, those bells mask any noise we make. Easy there, easy.
I think the lookout's seen us. What shall I answer to his challenge?
We are traders from Malta. Lost our anchors in the storm. We catched a ride by the Philadelphia and moored to our cables till morning.
Who goes? What ship are you? The Mostico, out of Malta, bound for Algiers. May Allah prosper you. What is your business here? 1,000 pardons for this intrusion, Effendi. We have lost our anchor in a storm. Beg leave to make fast your cables until morning. His Excellency grants all favors to the faithful. Throw over a line. Step lively, you dog.
He's working, Captain. If only they don't spot our anchors.
It's a trick. Leave anchors here. Hold back the line. Man the gun.
What's the matter? What are they screaming about?
They've seen our anchors, sir. It's all up.
Men, on your feet. Stand by the boys. Light torches. Hold those fires clear of the explosives. First group, head them off from the guns. Second group, clear away to the hatches. Third group, fire the forward hold. Fourth group, plant the explosives. Cutlasses, men, and follow me. Boarders away. Head them off the guns. Keep the way clear. Put them down.
I have to report, sir. The enemy crew has abandoned the ship.
Any skulking below decks?
I think not, sir.
Carry the wounded to the ketch. Start passing the explosives. We've got to work fast. You men, take those torches below, throw them into the forward hold. Pass those boxes lively there. Keep them clear of the flames.
The shore battery. They've opened fire, sir.
All torches below, quickly. Douse the lanterns. Heave there. Heave those boxes. Heave, men.
Explosives all stowed below, sir.
Torches away below. Fire the ship.
Torches disposed for orders, sir.
Then come aloft. Boarders, return to your ship on the double.
He's burning faster than I expected, sir.
Follow the men, favorites. They've light now to aim their big guns by. We're a pretty target for certain.
Sir, aren't you coming?
Not till the last of our men is safe aboard the ketch. Start cutting the line.
Aye, sir.
Cut the line. Mr. Decatur, for God's sake, come aboard. All hands are accounted for.
Tend to those lines. I've a job to do here. You, come out from there.
You think surrender so easy, eh, Yankee? Now your pack of hounds is cast off. We fight man to man.
On guard, you thieving murderer.
Die, you Yankee son.
Don't you hide there. Stab the last man open the back, did you? You hide as stupidly as you fight, sir.
Ha! You'll bet you could ransom for my sultan if he decides to let you live.
Dead men don't fetch ransoms, my friend.
Yeah.
Neither you nor I.
You're bleeding, Captain. Are you ready to say enough? Never! The fire is coming closer. You cannot stand it much longer.
I can stand it as long as you can.
Yeah, Cater. Watch out. There's another one behind you.
Well, I've got 2 hands. Come one step closer, you stabber. I'll blow your brains out with this pistol.
Decatur, jump overboard. You can't handle both of them.
Now then, drop that sword. Drop it or cut your hand off.
The fire! Help! Help! I'm being burned alive!
Decatur, are you all right? Everything's under control. Put out a line. I'm swimming over to board you.
Decatur, are you all right, man?
I told you to stand away from that burning ship and let me swim to you. Man those oars. She's due to explode any second.
The oars! Pull them, men! Pull for your lives!
Oh, what a terrible job we've done this night, Bainbridge. There she stands. One of the proudest ships of our Navy. A living torch. Watch your course, Bainbridge. I'll tell you what's happening back here. She's going under. Every mast and spar of her. A great ship is going down, men. She's out of her misery at last.
Well, my boy, I have good news for you. The Bay of Tripoli has sued for peace.
That is good news, sir.
I'm sending a delegation ashore to discuss terms with him. You are to be at the head of it, Stephen.
But, sir, I'm no diplomat.
I think you're a master of the only kind of diplomacy His Excellency the Bay of Tripoli understands.
Well, I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not, sir.
I think you know what I mean, Stephen. Just watch your step with him. He's unscrupulous and he's tricky. But remember this. He regards himself as a legitimate head of state. To us, he may be just a pirate. To himself, and unfortunately to the rest of the world, he is the ruler of an ancient, if not always honorable power.
I think I follow you, sir. I'm to let him know I think he's a worm, but respectfully refrain from stepping on him. Is that it?
In essence, yes. One thing, though, Stephen.
Yes, sir?
For heaven's sake, don't fly off the handle.
No, sir.
And don't challenge him to a duel.
His Excellency, Sovereign of the Faithful, successor to the Prophet, Yusuf Muhammad, Pasha of Tripoli, and Protector of Malta.
Your Excellency.
We do not know this young man, Ali Pasha.
The Admiral of the American fleet sends him to make the terms of a peace, Majesty. It is the esteemed Captain Decatur.
Decatur? Is this the man who burned the frigate under the very guns of my fortress?
I am, Excellency.
Why? Why do they send wild young men to treat with old powers? Well, no matter. What is your commander prepared to pay for a permanent peace, Captain?
I think the question is what you are prepared to pay, Excellency.
Indeed. Ali Pasha, was this our arrangement?
We have no arrangement as yet, sir. But I can promise you I will discuss no terms permitting a continuation of your piracies against us or any other nation.
Piracies, Captain? I understand your country went to war with England and said you took their frigates in a fair fight.
Well, sir, that is true. Now, if you look out the window there...
Yes?
You see that tall ship in the harbor with the blue flag?
Yes.
That's the Guerriere, taken from the British. That one lying off the small island is the Macedonian, our prize of war. The sloop near Cape Carthage is the Peacock. I have only to stand at the window and wave this handkerchief, and they'll open fire with all guns and blast your port to smithereens.
Please, is it necessary to stand so close to the window?
Well, I think I'll just stand here until we understand each other. Here are the terms. $30,000 damages for our ships and your guarantee, backed by a bond. There'll be no further depredations on our ships by your corsairs. All American and European captives held in slavery or imprisonment by you to be released to accompany me back to the fleet.
Oh, come now. Those captives are worth at least $500 apiece in your money. They would bring that in the slave market right here in Tripoli.
You're not taking them as slaves, Excellency?
No? Then why go to all the trouble about them?
I'm afraid that's something you'll never understand, Excellency.
There is a great deal I do not understand. Perhaps my world is all played out, dear Decatur. Yet, if I had a young man like you, I could make Tripoli great again. We are rich, you know, many times richer than your little republic across the sea. I could make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. 1 million, 10, 50 millions. Name your price.
I have no price.
Come now, every man has his price. No? That is something else I do not understand. Tell your commander, Captain, that I accept his terms. And ask him to carry my felicitations to your president. Perhaps one day we could do a little trading in slaves. No? Well, I'm free to admit there are many things I do not understand. Goodbye, Captain. Bon voyage. No hard feelings, I trust. Anything further we can do for you?
Yes. Order your palace guards back to their quarters.
You do not trust me? Not even now?
Frankly, I don't.
That is very wise of you. You will live to a ripe old age, Captain.
A ripe old age, Marie. Now he's 41. Perhaps this is his ripe old age. His work is done. A grateful nation has seen fit to retire him from his command and heap him heavy with honors. But it's no life for a man like him, Marie.
Ma'am, you oughtn't to talk like that. He's been happy with it. I know. I know when a man's happy.
Some men don't live for happiness, Marie. It doesn't agree with them. Now he's gone off to fight this wretched duel. Oh, Marie. Marie, are we never to have peace? Must meaningless quarrels spoil everything for us when we have fought so hard for this blessed respite?
Sun's up. You'll be coming home soon.
Marie.
I'll answer it, ma'am.
Marie, is it... Oh, Stephen.
Susan.
Your husband's wounded, Mrs. Decatur. We brought him home.
Carry him in here. Lay him on the couch here.
Carefully there. Lift him up.
Oh, my poor darling.
Is that better now, Stephen?
Thanks, Mildred. It's good to be home.
Stephen.
It's all right, Susan.
Doctor, is it a bad wound? Oh, no.
Susan.
Stephen, you must get well. You must.
Susan, listen carefully. I think I am mortally wounded. I'm sorry it had to happen this way. I'd much rather have died in defense of my country.
I know, Stephen. I know.
You're the only one. The only one who believes me when I tell the truth. This is a shameful way for a man like me to die, isn't it?
Yes, Stephen. It is.
Oh, I should have let you talk me out of it. Doctor, is it all right if I have a little of that brandy? Can't make any difference now, can it?
Ma'am, shall I?
I'll pour it for her, Marie.
4 glasses all around. I want to propose a toast.
Marie, you'd better.
Of course, ma'am. Commodore Bainbridge. Doctor. Ma'am.
You too, Marie.
Thank you, sir.
A toast, ladies and gentlemen. An old favorite of mine. To my country. In her intercourse with foreign nations, may she always be in the right. But right or wrong, my country.
Is the Armed Forces Radio Service. Here's your pass to the Globe Theater. Welcome to the Globe Theater, the radio theater playing exclusively to the men and women of the armed forces of the United Nations. Here for your entertainment are presented the finest plays selected from outstanding radio dramas. And here to tell you about tonight's play, in the absence of your regular host, Herbert Marshall, is Bill Johnstone.
Hello, everyone. Well, tonight we have a treat for all you baseball fans. A great baseball story by Ring Lardner about a fascinating pitcher named Hurry Kane. Our play features two well-known radio personalities, Don Wilson and Wally Mayer, and stars that world-traveling ball player of note, the boy with the mouth, Joey Brown. All right, now get ready. Here's the pitch.
When we think of the World Series and baseball stories, we naturally think of the late Ring Lardner, whose sympathy for the game and unique gift of expression made a hit with fans and non-fans alike. When we think of baseball players on the stage or screen, our thoughts naturally turn to the theater's Elmer the Great, Joey Brown. So here tonight, we'll put them together in a story of that amazing character from Arizona, Elmer Hurry Kane. Perhaps the one person who knows the story of Hurry best is the catcher of the home team.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the catcher on our team, and boy, the trouble we had nursing that lame brain Hurry Kane to pitch us into the World Series. During spring training down at Fort Griggs, the sport writers and announcers gave our club about as much chance as a lame canary in a cat's cage. And Dave, our manager, was driving us hard.
All right, shake the lead out of your pants. It's about time you birds start bearing down.
Oh, hi, Dave.
Well, Don Wilson, how's the radio announcing business?
Oh, good enough, I guess. How's the club shaping up?
Pardon me.
Mr. Dave. Well, Don, don't quote me, but for all the good them trades did, the respective managements might just as well have traded pictures of their children in Girl Scout suits.
Mr. Dave,
I still need pictures.
That's me, mister.
Will you please go away? What'd you say?
I'm your new pitcher.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you are, huh?
Yeah.
Now, just what cornfields have you been scaring the crows up?
Cornfields? We ain't got no cornfields in Yuma, Arizona, where I come from. Billy Moore sent me in from Waco. He seen me pitch.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hey, Johnny, fit this character into a suit, and you and Kid Farrell look him over.
Okay, boss.
Oh, what's your name, kid?
Kane. Hurry Kane.
Huh? Come again?
My name is Hurry Kane. Lefty Penny called me that. A hurricane is a big wind. Yes, sir. My name is Elmer.
It would be.
So Lefty Pennock, he called me Hurricane.
Because hurricanes blow up in a hurry, I suppose. I got plenty of pitchers on this club who blow up every inning.
Yeah, well, I don't blow up, mister. So I lead this scarecrow to the clubhouse. He's a little wart, standing about 5'4", and what are left of his stockings. And the most outstanding feature about his pan is his mouth. Honest, he looks like he's been weaned on a watermelon. Well, when we walk back out on the field, the whole team goes into hysterics. Big Bull Wade, our left fielder, is in stitches.
Where you from, sonny boy?
I come clean from Yuma, Arizona.
If you did, you're the first thing ever come clean out of that desert.
Yeah, I reckon that's because I took a bath in New Orleans.
All right, boy, here's the ball. I hope you know what to do with it.
Yes, sirree, bub.
I'll bet against him just for fun.
Now, go easy, kid. Don't cut loose and take chances on your arm until you're in shape.
Okie bogey.
Okie bogey. I'll hit one right through the pitcher's box and scare him out of them oversized pants.
Now, take it easy, Bull.
Oh, look at that wind-up.
He's been winding the courthouse clock.
Here it comes.
Hey!
Ow! Ow, my hand feels like I grabbed a bolt of lightning.
Holy smoke. Hey, I told you not to cut loose. You never use your fastball on the first day.
Fast one? That wasn't my fast one, mister.
That was my slow ball.
Huh?
Your slow ball? Yes, sir.
Is he kidding?
Oh, brother. I don't want to use my steam until I'm sure of my control.
This is Don Wilson speaking. Well, fans, since Hurricane joined the club, manager Dave has pennant fever. The little guy from Arizona has a fastball that looks like jet propulsion. If Kid Farrell and Johnny Abbott can just coach a few bad habits out of him, such as his octopus wind-up and his cactus caper walk, I look for Hurricane to be the sensation of the coming season.
Well, they give me Kane for a roommate, and I get to know him better. We even eat together, if the major operation he goes through 3 times daily can be called by such a common name.
Yeah, and I want a big, thick steak and lots of potatoes. Plenty of milk and ice cream. And another steak.
Something wrong with your appetite, Hurry?
Yeah, I miss my Minnie.
Your what?
My Minnie. Minnie Olson. She's my gal from back home in Yuma. I got an awful hankering to see her.
Well, hey, the season hasn't even started, and me and my gal Helen are depending on you, Hurry, to put us into the money so I can get out of debt and we can get married.
Yeah. Here's a picture of my Minnie. Taken at the rodeo back home. Oh, I sure do miss my Minnie.
Say, that's a lot of mama for a little guy like you.
Yeah, pretty, huh?
Can she cook and sew and stuff like that there?
Nope. But you ought to see her bulldog a steer.
Well, I wouldn't want a great big gal like that in a place as hot as Yuma.
Is that so? Well, her being big has its advantages, too. When we go downtown in the summertime, I get to walk in her shade.
Hey, here comes Bull Wade.
Yeah. Hey, guys, a troop of burlesque gals is checking in at the hotel.
Girls? Women?
And how? Big leggy chorus gals.
Yoo-hoo.
And do you know who's with them? Evelyn Corey, the striptease artist.
Okie bogie, Bull. Lead me to him.
Hey, wait a minute. What about Minnie?
Minnie, she don't happen to be here. Come on, Johnny. Let's go and take a gander at the gams.
Well, the little guy's just crazy about women. All he talks about for the next 2 days is this Evelyn Corey dame. And while he's in this mood, Bull Wade and the boys pull a lot of gags on poor Kane. All right, what's the laugh, Bill? Tell me so I can laugh, too.
Ain't you heard? Kane, that dope, has been eyeing that big blonde stripteaser, Evelyn Corey. So I send him a note on sachet paper and sign it Evelyn.
You know, you guys are going to toss away our pennant chances just for the sake of playing shenanigans on poor Kane.
Hey, look, he's coming into the lobby now with a bouquet of flowers. Hey, guys, we got to be in on this.
See your ragtime, here's your ragtime. Ragtime Cowboy Joe.
Well?
Howdy, ma'am. Your Tootsie Wootsy boy is here.
My what is where?
This is me, your rugged ragtime cowboy from Arizona.
You better scram, you silly little ham.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Evelyn, how come you wrote to me?
Howdy, Kane. Why the flowers? Going to a funeral?
No, ain't going to no. Evelyn Corey wrote me to come up and see her sometime. And well, it's sort of dark in here. I reckon she couldn't see it was me.
That evening when Hurry comes dragging in, he goes right over and gets his spare shirt and comb out of the chiffonier. Hey, what are you doing, Hurry?
What do you think I'm doing? I'm packing my satchel.
But look, we got another game here before we head for the big city to open the season.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm going home to Yuma.
Huh? Oh, but Hurry, we can't win no pennant without you.
I know it.
And Helen and me, we can't get married.
Look,
oh, Hurry.
Johnny, I like you, but those other guys are always making fun of me.
Oh, the guys only kid you because they like you.
Yeah. They think I'm dumb.
Oh, no, Hurry.
Yeah. I'm going home to my gal. Hello. Look, I want to talk to Minnie Olson in Yuma, Arizona.
Gee, that's going to cost you about $21.
Yeah, well, what do I... $21?
Oh, sure.
Hello, look. Hey, operator, I changed my mind about calling Minnie. Yeah, I just happened to remember that she'll be over on the other side of town, taking her mandolin lesson.
Now, look,
Look, don't ditch us now. Hurry. I won't be able to marry Helen, and I love her as much as you love Minnie and Evelyn all rolled up into one. Minnie and Evelyn all rolled up into one. Oh, boy, what a woman that would be. I'll get it. Hello.
Now what?
Oh, no, you don't. You can't kid me no more. I'm on all your tricks. Another one of Bull Wade's gags. Somebody says to clear out. The hotel is on fire.
Huh?
I think people are fools. If they think I'm going to bite on that old stall.
Hey, I hear fire engines. Maybe there is a fire.
Oh, that's a lot of baloney. That's just a gag.
Some dame's yelling for help.
Yeah, everybody's in on it. Hey, that sounded like Evelyn.
Help! Save me! Help!
It is Evelyn. I hear you calling, baby.
By the time I grab Helen's picture and toss a few belongings into my bag and head for the hall, I bump into Kane staggering down the corridor with an armful of burlesque queen. And she must have been practicing her striptease when the alarm sounded.
Help! Help, Johnny, she's fainted. Hey, what do I do? How do we get out of here?
We better find a fire escape.
Hey, wait a minute. Take her outside this way? Hey, Johnny, she'll catch cold.
Well, the fire didn't amount to much, and we started back down the hallway. Then Evelyn came to and takes hold of Kane's powerful right arm and sort of feels his muscle. And a look of bliss spreads over her gaudy face. She rests her blonde head on his barrel chest and coos.
Oh, you wonderful, wonderful hero.
Oh, shucks. Oh, it wasn't nothing.
But you saved... Oh, no. No, let me down.
Hey, wait a minute. I've been trying to meet you, Miss Evelyn.
I know. I thank you so much, but please let me down.
Yeah, but wait a minute. When do I get to see more of you?
Are you kidding? Look, when you get to New York, just come down to Minsky's. You'll see a lot more of me. Now, just let me down. Thanks again. Good night now.
Nighty-night. Don't let the little bugs bite. Gosh. Ain't she wonderful, Johnny?
In my opinion, you was a cowboy too long to be any judge of women.
Hey, Johnny. Johnny.
Huh?
When do we play New York?
Now, if you're the baseball fan I think you are, you'll know that Hurry Kane turns out to be the sensation of the season. But we almost lost him on that second trip to New York.
They keep throwing me out of Minsky's burlesque hall and saying that Evelyn don't work here no more. So I'm going home to Minnie.
What? Again? Look here, Kane, you can't always be quitting.
Goodbye, pennant.
And us a game and a half out of first place.
Look, Dave, look. Why don't we send for Minnie?
Nothing doing. It'll be cheaper to find Evelyn Corey.
What good'll that do? Evelyn belongs to Sam Morris, the bookie, and they're making the rounds of the tracks. Say, remember when I sent Kane that letter and signed it, Evelyn?
Oh, so you were the guy.
Now, wait a minute, boss. I'll write some more love letters to Hurry and sign them Evelyn. Then send them to my brother who plays with Montreal. He can mail them back to Kane.
So, Bull's letters turn the trick until Kane discovers that Montreal isn't in Europe and that he can get there from here.
I'm going to run up to Montreal and visit Evelyn.
But you can't, Hurry, you can't.
Why?
We're in the final stretch. Here we play our last series against the first-place club, and you want to go chasing a dame.
And what a dame. Oh, boy. I just got to go to Montreal and see Evelyn.
So I talk it over with Dave, and we both know we don't stand a chance against Washington without Kane. It looks like Minnie's our only bet, so Dave okays a call to Minnie, and my gal Helen does the talking in that wonderful, persuasive way she has.
And, Minnie, the club will pay all your expenses to come over here just to see Elmer win the pennant.
But, ma'am, we got a rodeo coming up, and I promised to be in it.
Johnny, she doesn't want to.
Tell her about Evelyn.
Oh, gee, this is kind of dirty. Minnie, I hate to tell you this, but just between us girls, Elmer has a big blonde burlesque queen chasing him.
What? Well, if she's after Elmer, I don't suppose she'll have to run very fast. That little Gila monster, I'll take the next plane.
Be sure to wire him that you're coming, Minnie.
When Hurry gets that telegram from Minnie, he forgets all about Evelyn. And then the Senators open up against us. Kane sets them back on their heels 5-0 in spite of the fact that Minnie don't show. In the second game, she still hasn't arrived, but Kane goes in to relieve Sam Olds in the fifth with none down and the bags loaded. He whips 3 in a row and goes on to defeat Eddie Brainerd in 11 innings to tie the two clubs up for the season. Oh, boy, the old town goes wild, and Don Wilson is announcing...
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow's game decides the 1945 championship of the American League. With Hurry Kane pitching and winning the last 2 games, who will Manager Dave pitch in the deciding game on the morrow? That is the million-dollar question.
Oh, quit pacing the floor, Hurry.
Oh, Minnie must have been run over by a truck.
There you are. That must be Minnie now.
Yeah, well, it better be. Hello. Oh, Minnie?
Why, Elmer, darling. Why are you calling me Minnie?
Huh? Who's this?
This is your Lollapalooza lady.
Lollapalooza? Oh, no, not now.
Elmer, this is Evelyn Corey. Oh, your letters have been divine. I just got to see you.
Oh.
What's up, Kane?
Look, Hurry, I'm at the Playmore Hotel. Will you come right over?
Well, look, I'm sort of tired. I pitched yesterday, and I pitched again today.
And you're going to pitch tomorrow. That's what I want to see you about. So, hurry.
Well, okabogie. I'll hurry. Oh, Johnny, oh, boy, I got to go now. Huh? Look, if Minnie calls, you tell her I'm working in a grocery store after hours.
Well, Kane comes dragging in about 3 a.m, and by game time, he looks like something the cat turned down, and I feel worse. There's still no sign of Minnie, and Helen has gone to the airport to wait for her. Well, Hurry manages to talk Dave into letting him pitch. But Claymore, the first man up, gets a double, and that's just the beginning. Kane has lost his stuff. We're 4 runs behind as we come up to bat in the first inning. Gee, what's the matter, Kane? Your fastball is slow and your slow ball's fast.
Tell Carney to warm up.
Now, look, I've always been your pal. I like it. But this is one time I'm going to hang one on you if you don't tell me what's wrong.
Well, I'll tell you, Johnny. Evelyn Corey's up there in the stand behind home plate with her lawyer. They keep waving, and I get the shakes.
But what do you get the shakes for?
Why? Well, Evelyn and that lawyer guy say that I gotta marry her.
Marry?
Yeah. On account of them letters that I've been writing. Every time I start winding up, I look down the alley right past you into the stands, and there they are. And I start thinking and... Hey, it's Minnie. I'm done. Johnny, let me out of here. Hi, Minnie.
Hey, Helen's with her. How are you, sweetie puss?
I'm getting sick on the slats, Johnny. Oh, no. Look, Minnie's sitting right behind Evelyn and that lawyer.
Hey, come back here, Hurry. Come back here.
Hey, Alf, wait a minute, Johnny. Let go my arm.
No, you listen to me, Hurry. Listen to me. We're still in this ball game.
I'm done, Johnny. They ain't gonna make me marry Evelyn. Because it's Minnie I love. And when Minnie hears how I've been carrying on in my letters to Evelyn, she won't have me as a trade for a spavin burro.
Oh. Hey, Bull, listen. Did you happen to let Evelyn Corey in on how you've been writing love letters to Kane and signing him, Evelyn? Tell me yes or no.
Oh, yeah, but it was just for laughs.
Well, Evelyn and some shyster are trying to rope Kane into marrying her. They got him scared so stiff he can't pitch. There they are right back at home plate.
Huh? Where? Hey, Hurry. That ain't no lawyer with Evelyn.
No. Hey, you're just kidding me. And I don't like it anymore.
This ain't no gag. That guy with the dark glasses and the little mustache ain't no lawyer.
No?
That's Evelyn's husband, Sam Morris, the gambler.
The guy that's been betting all the dough that we lose this series?
Yeah.
Why, them no-good varmints.
Have you been dealing with them gamblers, Hurry?
No, sirree, Bub. But they were just making a goof out of me.
Yeah, the goof that's supposed to hatch their golden eggs.
Yeah, I'll show them. Get me some runs, fellas.
You're through, Hurry. Your hurricane is nothing but a zephyr.
There. Did you hear that, Dave? Okey bogey, Minnie!
Nothing doing. The fans will kill me.
Yeah, but I gotta pitch, Dave, or Minnie'll kill me.
Who's running this team, me or Minnie Olson?
Well, I don't know. Minnie Olson runs me. Get me some runs, fellas!
This is Don Wilson broadcasting the final and decisive game of the 1945 pennant race. Ah, that was a mighty wobbly first inning for Hurry Kane, but he's finally found himself and hasn't allowed a hit since. It's now the last of the ninth, and the score is 4-3 in favor of the Senators. The home club's at bat, 2 down. Johnny Abbott's on first. There'll be a pinch hitter in place of Hurry Kane. What? Kane's coming out of the dugout swinging a dozen bats just for laughs. Hold everything. Hold everything. There's a struggle going on down there between Kane and Manager Dave. What's the matter with Manager Dave? Why, he's letting Hurry Kane bat. Hurry Kane only got 2 hits all season. This pennant try started with Kane, and it's about to end with him. Looks like it's all over but the booing. Here comes the first pitch. It's a hit. A long one. It's going out. The ball's still rising. Medford's going back. It's a home run.
So I cross the plate with a tying run, and I stand there waiting for Hurry. He's not far behind me and running as though the ball was still in play. He crosses the plate and runs for the grandstand.
I'm coming, Minnie!
I follow him, and we fight our way through the cheering mob. And as we get there, Helen grabs me and plants a big kiss on me.
Oh, Johnny, you were wonderful.
Oh, Hurry is about to clinch with Minnie when Sam Morris grabs him by the neck and starts to shake him.
So you make me lose all but the shirt on my back, eh?
Strangle a silly little jerk. Hey, you, let go of my Elmer.
Your Elmer? You big cow. You're just the type that little goon would go for. Give him the boots, Sam.
I never heard tell of a goon before, but if it's what I think it is, this for you, you blonde hussy. Oh. You let go of my Elmer.
That's all right. I can handle him, Minnie. I'll knock the gambler's block off.
No, don't hit him. Don't hit him. You'll be barred from baseball.
Go ahead and hit me. I dare you, you fink.
No, don't do it, Hurry. Don't do it. He's got bets on the World Series, and we can't win without you.
Oh, yeah, Johnny, I just got to hit him. Just once.
Step aside, Elmer. Mister, I don't know what a fink is, but it sounds like you're a-calling my Elmer names.
Oh!
Wow.
There you are.
What a sock.
Didn't I tell you she was a big, strong girl?
Hey,
oh,
stop
Minnie.
with that here. Here, what goes on here, Johnny?
Oh, hi, Cassidy. Oh, a couple of ill-tempered gamblers sail into Hurry Kane because he won the game.
Ho, gambling in the stands, eh?
Now, where am I?
It makes no difference, girlie. You're going for a ride. Well, if it ain't Sam Morris, the bookie, well, come along, me bucko, come along.
Minnie, I don't think you love me no more.
Oh, yes, I do, Elmer.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yes, I do, Elmer.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do love you, Elmer. Don't you say I don't, or I'll bash in your head.
Well, if you love me, then how about a kiss?
Well, this is for winning the game, Elmer.
Vanilla.
And this is for sporting around with that blonde hussy.
Oh, Minnie, you shouldn't hit Hurry like that.
Don't tell me how to handle my man. Elmer, are you all right?
Okie bogie, Minnie. Hot dog, Johnny. She still loves me.
Well, that's the ball game, folks. Hurry Kane by Ring Lardner was a This Is My Best production and starred Joey Brown with assists by Don Wilson and Wally Mayer. This is your host, Bill Johnstone, inviting you to be with us for the next Globe Theater presentation and wishing you the best of everything.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.